Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Europe 4 Regional for Heroes of the Storm. It is time for the grand final, everyone. We've got a packed out crowd today here at Gamescom for the final day of the Heroes of the Storm, and it's a very big day for many ways. Not only are we looking for the full champion for the second time, but we're also trying to figure out who makes it to the global finals. So a big day for many teams. 4 teams involved today. We've got the former champions, 3 times winners Dignitas. We've got Misfits looking to secure at least a final spot if they can, if not win the whole thing to get to BlizzCon. We've also got Fnatic in the mix. They're also looking for the same thing. And as if that wasn't enough, we have the surprise package from the group stage, the Jabronis. Can they upset the champions here in Germany? We're going to find out as we head into our first semi-final very shortly. But first, let's catch up with the desk with Kendrick and the gang.
Thank you very much, Red Eye, and welcome from the panel. This is the second Heroes of the Storm European Regional, brought to you live from Gamescom Cologne. And, you know, the panel, this is basically where the magic happens, where we're going to tone down and sort of, you know, analyze what is going on inside the games, after the games, and, of course, before the games. And, you know what? I'm just the host here, so I couldn't do it all by myself, which is why I am being joined by some of the finest gentlemen that the European Heroes of the Storm scene has to offer. Jay-How, Todd, and Uncle James. How is it doing? How are you doing? How are you doing, Kalaris?
This is gonna stick.
I know.
We all just look down.
I know.
We have to establish some nicknames after all.
It's like,
yesterday you were Kalthus, today you're Uncle James.
I know. That's fine. I don't mind that. You said European scene, but we have an imposter over here.
I consider Jay-How to be European already because he used to be my sidekick for, I don't know,
Three events now, plus I look like BKB, so same.
All right.
And of course, guys, I mean, this is where the playoffs are going to happen. So only the strongest teams have made it up to this point. And it is really, really hard to say who's going to come out on top. Because, let's be honest, the Holy European Trinity has been assembled once more. Dignitas, Fnatic, and Misfits. And only the Jabronis are sort of a surprising factor here. But nevertheless, guys, they are looking extremely strong.
They look really good, and they also look very diverse with their drafts. So we saw them try and copy some stuff, and then we saw them get innovative. They ran Gul'dan, so if you guys missed that, it was the first time I've seen Gul'dan on such a big stage. And then, of course, they ran Zul, who I thought Europe forgot about. This is my second event. I finally saw somebody run Zul. I was very excited.
It's cool how they actually draft. Like, they prioritize a lot of laning things, not only even having Zul in their mix, but also Zagar and Sylvanas has really stood out for them as some of their top picks when actually prioritizing things. So it's nice to see that strength on maps, at least.
They have a lot of flexible players. Like their last 3 games against SLNT Lesion, we saw a lot of different heroes. The only 3 that came out multiple times, and that was 2 times for each, were like, I think Zagar, Sonya, and HotS. So for the most part, they played with 3 different supports across 3 games and did pretty well with it too. So really nice to see, you know, one of those teams being a little bit of a lesser known team really come out and showing good things here in this tournament.
Yeah, but of course, guys, the global circuit is not only focused on Europe. We have all the regions in the world currently competing for their tickets to BlizzCon. As you can see, the North American qualifiers are still raging on. PAX is about to happen, and we still haven't decided which teams are going to be there. Only a few have been chosen already. At the same time, Korea, Super League, China, Gold League, the whole world basically is currently competing to get to BlizzCon, which is by far one of the most renowned tournaments that we have in the entire year, Jay-How.
I mean, you talk about watching the whole world. I mean, I remember at the last event, we were sitting there, and I think, or this was in Burbank a few weeks ago, I remember sitting with Dredd and Gilly, we're all in the hotel room watching the Asian scene. And then last night, as soon as I get to my hotel, I'm literally messaging people back in North America, like, who qualified? I want to know what's going on. There's action all over the place. I love it right now.
Yeah, absolutely, James. And of course, the Koreans as well, they have proven to be one of the strongest, if not the strongest region for a very long time, especially during the Summer Championship. Tempest, now Tempo Storm, they basically proved us right that they are not to be messed with. Do you think that, judging from what we've been watching so far in the European scene, that one team may actually be able to challenge this dominance?
Probably not. It's a bit difficult at the moment, of course, to try and deal with the power of the Koreans, with their infrastructure and how they're actually able to practice. That's always very prevalent in the Korean scene. Whenever I look at what's going to happen moving on into the Fall Championship, I kind of always anticipate a European team at least getting top 4 and then maybe making that miracle upset.
Right.
But until we gather super power, it will be difficult. There's never an impossible chance, but, you know, we'll see.
And let's actually focus a little bit more on this tournament. I mean, at Gamescom Cologne, we're dealing with the second regionals here for the fall season. Do you think that, from what we've seen during the two group phases, yesterday and the day before yesterday, that anything particular happened that really blew your mind?
What blew my mind was ADRD and crew on TBD, the amount of drafting things that they brought out to give Fnatic what was one of the toughest days I've ever seen them have. When I saw them off stage and afterwards, they looked exhausted. They looked mentally tired from having to deal with the craziness that ADRD brought. Everything else between Dignitas and Misfits kind of played in here, but the fact that we now have Jabronis in the mix, there's actually a lot more in this day. As you said, the top three teams, that was to be expected. Now the excitement is where it's going to be at.
Yeah, and for me, I would say Misfits, how solid they've been throughout their games. Like, that first year is maybe that was the most one-sided one that we've seen. They just all around super solid. They're the team that has been doing super well in general, according to a lot of people, when they train. So I'm super excited here to see if they can make it all the way and qualify for BlizzCon potentially.
Yeah, but of course, guys, images say way more than words. So without further ado, we're going to give you a short summary of what happened during the first 2 days of this tournament.
Welcome to the Europe Fall Regional for Heroes of the Storm, live from Gamescom 2016.
Misfits playing against GIC.
Lumpy tries to reposition himself.
Oh, Rhaegar, Splendor! Splendor gets silenced and rooted.
That's a lot of damage going on towards him. Without Rhaegar, this could be game because they don't have enough sustain out on the backside. Sphinxy here, still keeping himself alive. Goes straight on to core. That's an ambitious move.
This is it, Misfits taking a very comfortable 2-0 victory here. GG.
Misfits in a rush. They've got somewhere to be, and they've got something to prove here.
Please welcome EE, the Jabronis.
Oh, once again, we have Jaina trying to go for the damage. Yes, Harmony's jumping on Donatan, trying to get the kill at the same time. Link is low, the double kill, the triple kill, it's a quad kill. GG, a 2-1 victory for EE against the Jabronis. What a series, Todd.
Misfits versus EA.
Darkmonk has already used Metamorphosis. They don't have to Bind Shield either, so this is it. They have to make the fight work with this, but Darkmonk is eliminated. Getting through the groups without dropping a single game.
Group B with the elimination match between the Jabronis and GIC.
Get another 4.
Oh, Shrink Raid, unstoppable as well. Star gets out there. Star gets away on the thrall. He had so much popped on towards him with that ancestral heal, just barely able to save him. He's still on the run. Will he still die? Yes, he will here. The Jabronis go full focus.
Decider's match here between the Jabronis and Excellent Selection.
The boss is so strong still. They go in. Link is down. Pride being eliminated. But they just simply go for the core. And the core is already down to 60%, dropping to 50. The boss is hammering away. And this is going to be game. One way or another, the score is going to fall. They lose 2 more heroes, but who cares? This is it. The Jabronis take it. A 2-1 victory.
All right, 100,000 US is the total prize pool for the second regionals here at Gamescom Cologne. And we can already see those swagger glasses. I'm loving it. I would love to wear them on stage, but unfortunately, I think we wouldn't see much if we wore them. However, guys, money is not everything that's on the line. I mean, you can buy a lot of skins, especially with the upcoming content here. Those dollars will be very meaningful, but it's more. It's definitely all about BlizzCon here. The Fall Championship, which is most of the most prestigious tournaments a Heroes of the Storm Pro could ever imagine. Guys, we have 4 teams here, all looking very solid. Dignitas, 3 times champion. Misfits, looking super good during the Summer Championship. And Fnatic, the all-time favorite, if you will. I mean, they're always second, they're always third, but they haven't really managed to get that big title under their belt. Do you think it's time for them?
Fnatic, it almost feels like it's time. It's just a matter of how well they recovered from their tough day one. The fact that they had yesterday off and it gives them an opportunity to kind of study the drafts, what we saw. I mean, think about what we saw yesterday. 4 games from Misfits, 4 games of Tychus. That's something that we don't normally see. And is that going to play into the draft strategy? Dread, I was talking to him about this when we were looking at drafts this morning over breakfast. And we're sitting there wondering, like, is this a trend that's going to continue? Or are they just baiting out a ban? Or are we going to see if Fnatic's going to try and take that off of them and then force them into a weird play style? So I love what is happening in the European scene. I just wonder if Fnatic is able to take that step.
Yeah, and it's a good point you raised there, JL, because especially if we took a closer look at a team like Misfits, it always seems like they bring something special to the table whenever they play on a big global stage. For now, though, we're going to take a look at the playoffs bracket here. On the lower half, we see Misfits versus Fnatic. I mean, that alone is such a banger. I can't wait to see which team is going to come out on top and face potentially either Dignitas or the Jabronis. I mean, Dignitas, they won the first regionals already, so even if they don't win this tournament here, they're already qualifying for BlizzCon.
Yeah, it's I mean, this is a lot here about 3 teams trying to qualify, and I guess Dignitas trying to make sure, you know, they cement their place as the best European team right now. But I really feel like Misfits, they have to be the favorites. Jabronis, we are very quick to count them out. I think you even you didn't mention them here a second ago when you were talking about the teams.
So I apologize, Jabronis. I love you. I love you.
They're very easy, you know, to be overlooked, but they could surprise. There is a chance. It's a slim one, but they showed very good things, in my opinion, yesterday.
I think when I was at the casting desk and I was casting Dignitas, though, it's like this is an extreme boot camp for them, which is in tournament conditions where they can start trying to experiment a little bit even more, to the extent where it's only about money, of course. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something a little wild in some of the drafts here and there, because there's not that pressure on them, as you're mentioning. They can just throw things out and maybe try and, especially against the Jabronis, where we know there is a big divide, one would say.
Oh, there is some pressure, though, because if they lose, I'm pretty sure Fnatic and Misfits are not going to be too happy with them, and everybody's pretty close in the Heroes community, so there is that pressure.
All right, and if you have a favorite team that you really want to cheer for, we're now going to tell you when to tune in. Of course, you should be watching it the entire time, because we can never have enough Heroes of the Storm goodness. But today we're going to kick things off with Team Dignitas against the Jabronis. I mean, on paper, as you mentioned, it might look a little bit one-sided, but the Jabronis, hey, we're not going to forget about them. We're not going to count them out, that's for sure. We're going to follow up then with Fnatic against the Misfits. 2 titans in Europe, without a doubt. And then, of course, in the grand finals, it's where it's all going to come down to, guys. And without a doubt, I don't think I go on a limb here if I say this is one of the most stacked and most exciting tournaments that we have in Europe so far.
Stacked by far. And, you know, we talk about the Jabronis, and, you know, we'll get into it in a little bit as we get to the game, but what they had draft-wise, I almost think they could catch Dignitas off guard. It's a best of 5, that's a tall feat, but I think that between the Gul'dan, the Zul and stuff, I think it counters a lot of what we normally see Dignitas trying to pull off. Claris, before we went on, you said we might see something exciting, and I know a lot of people are probably writing them off, but do you really think we're going to see something exciting from Dignitas early on?
Maybe. I mean, they have a wealth of strategy. They don't necessarily have to play double warrior if they don't want to, and even if they did, that they could put like a different backline behind it. The thing is that you were mentioning the Gul'dan before, and it actually does really well against double warrior, so maybe we'll see it.
Yeah, definitely. But guys, you know what? I'm pretty sure the viewers out there are ready to see what we've got going today. And without further ado, we're not going to keep you waiting any longer. Time for that first best of 5, excuse me. It is a semifinals after all. So guys, give it up for Dignitas and the Jabronis.
Okay, time to get our teams out here and introduce you to our first 2 semi-final teams. Our first team were in Group B yesterday. They had a mountain to climb. A lot of people here said that they had no chance of getting out of the groups. Not only did they do that, but they proved a lot of people wrong along the way. They've got another mountain to climb today as they go up against the reigning champions here in the 4 regional championships. Please welcome on stage, the Jabronis. And there's a big reason they have a mountain to climb today, because the team that they will be playing have already won one of the 4 regionals already. They're also 3-time regional champions out of the 4 that we've had already, and last year were Europe's top team. They are the one and only Team Dignitas. So we are all set for our first semi-final of the day. Before we get into the match itself, let's hear the final thoughts from our panel.
All right, here they are, the first 2 teams that are going to enter the stage and then later on the battlefield. And we talked about Dignitas and the Jabronis a little bit already, but what I found really interesting and fascinating almost is that both teams use similar team comps. At least the Jabronis sort of imitated and copied almost the Jaina and Zeratul comp that Dignitas pulled out earlier. Do you think we're going to face a lot of similar drafts in general, or do you think that both teams will pull out something special today?
I think for sure they know what's going on. It's something that we've seen in the European meta alone, and a lot of people are trying to copy what everybody else is doing because it's worked so well for teams like Dignitas. Nobody's really copying Misfits because they're all in a completely different realm.
Yeah.
But they've been copying, they've been studying. So I'm curious what bands we're going to see in the drafts. I think that could get interesting for Dignitas.
Yeah, I mean, both teams studied each other closely. Dignitas, they got to see, you know, that there were similar comps played by the Jabronis, so they're well aware of what's going on. Again, they're the team that's already qualified for BlizzCon, that has no pressure. Crazy picks, crazy heroes. It's time, man.
Maybe. Hey, so Dignitas are my boys. I can't help it. I'm sorry. But, like, I know these guys in and out. And I know that they are very flexible. Like, even though we've seen so much double warrior from them, we've seen Arthas, we've seen Muradin as that double warrior composition, it doesn't mean that they can't use different warriors. We've seen Jay already use Stitches as something like...
He's finally opening up. It's going to be a single warrior. What?
No.
You gave it away. Just now.
No. I don't know. But again, like, even someone like Snitch, very flexible behind that. You know, he likes his Zagara a lot, but he can play different things. I mean, who else have you got on there? Like, you've got a wealth of experience behind them. So I don't know how the Jabronis are going to be able to match it.
We're definitely not going to see Zagara. He was trying to send us away from the original idea.
I didn't say anything.
I think before we actually dive too deep into the matter here and James is getting in trouble, I think we can now take a closer look at both of the teams and see how they came into this tournament, guys.
We're a new team. We haven't stayed together for long, but I think we're building up some synergy and we can play good.
Games were generally good. Our first series against E-Punks was fairly mistake-prone, but we pulled through with the 2-0, and we had an insane series against Fnatic. It was probably one of the closest I've ever played, and we came out on top 2-1, so that felt great. We've been able to stick with the same roster since the start of the full season, and we're really, really happy with it. The synergy's starting to come in now. We've got a lot of time to work on pocket strategies, and a lot of the other teams here are making these roster changes, and that gives us an advantage in our synergy.
The games went well, kind of like we expected. We kind of drew the first game, but I guess we came back stronger.
I don't feel as confident as I did in Valencia, and the main reason for that is there really isn't too much motivation for us. This is purely about pride. The other teams are playing for their spot at BlizzCon. So it's going to be very hard, but I think we can probably do it.
We are facing Dignitas in the semifinals. I think they're really good. I have a lot of respect for them, and I don't expect to win, but we're going to do our best.
All right, we just heard Bakery say something very interesting, that they are a team that has been together for a while now, whereas, you know, the Jabronis, they're basically a newly formed unit. So in a game like Heroes of the Storm that is so focused on team coordination and team synergy in general, do you think that staying together for a longer period of time is actually a significant advantage, Jehao?
It's something we talk about all the time, especially when we look at the European scene. Who are your 3 most successful teams? Fnatic, Misfits, I almost called them my insanity, and then Dignitas, and they've all had very long-standing rosters or only minimal changes. The one thing I took away from that video, though, as somebody who I guess competed in everything in my entire life, I never want to hear somebody say, I don't think we're going to beat them. Like that's a really weird mentality to have before you ever start the game.
A lot of people have been saying that. A lot of players were like, well, we've not been doing well as of late, so we don't think we're going to do well, but somehow, for Dignitas, I guess it worked out because they did well. It's not the best of mindsets to go into a match with, but I guess if you don't let it, affect yourself too much and still try your best, maybe it doesn't matter.
You can also trick your opponents, though, right?
I mean, sure. The thing is, yeah, all these rosters have been together for a long time, but someone like Eternal has been a previous European champion way back in Prague, so they still have the chops to win.
And of course, we now see that first draft here in that very first semi-finals. All series here are going to be best of 5, guys, just in case you weren't aware of that. The first battleground is, of course, going to be Cursed Hollow. A very standard one might say. It's definitely, been in the competitive roster or map pool, if you will, for a very long time. 2 bosses, and we see nothing out of the ordinary. Falstad and Turiel being banned right away, Todd.
The usual suspects here.
Yeah.
And
I do like the fact that the Jabronis took Zagara from Team Dignitas.
Take it away. I'm sorry.
Okay, so Kaidice wasn't lying. They wanted to pick Zagara.
Arthas Muradin?
They could.
It's what they do on this map. It's Arthas Muradin so much. Arthas Muradin, Zagara are their top 3. It's what they love to run. They're going to go ahead and lock in Rhaegar there.
That already makes me think that they're hiding something, because they very rarely prioritize support that highly when it comes to their drafting in the current
You mentioned a single warrior earlier, right?
No.
Jabronis is literally taking half their draft.
Exactly. This is very clever by the Jabronis, to be honest.
And the thing is, the heroes that you're taking are not necessarily out of the way heroes, and they're very strong heroes, especially Zagara. The anticipation, Tychus again. The anticipation to either run into a double warrior, the thing with Dignitas is the minute somebody tried to pick that up early, they turned around and that's when they would run like a zero-tool Jaina combo. So we might actually see something different just because of that pick alone.
Yeah, we may. The thing is that even sometimes we see, wow, Abathur being banned out. The Team Dignitas have run a little bit of Abathur from time to time, so that's a smart move. The thing is about the Tychus, I think they are still anticipating a double warrior because they know the Team Dignitas has so much comfort with it as Li Ming comes in.
Something that is also kind of cool to see, or surprising almost, is that a hero like Tychus...
Stitches.
It's Cursed Hollow, it's Jay.
And it's Team Dignitas after all, exactly.
And they took away Muradin on the other side.
But the last time they used Stitches, there was Kael'thas to land at Gravity Labs and make sure they could get some knockdown. I guess no Arthas is probably going to help a lot with that, with the Howling Blast.
If the Stitches if the Li Ming forces Jabronis into another warrior, even a Nubarak, which we've seen the common one, this already...
Leoric.
You're going to rely on Zagara and Tychus to do your damage, because the next one's their support. That's always a tough thing to do.
Look at all that tank shredding, though. Leoric and Tychus against that double front line. Super scary.
Yeah, but it's not the typical front line, right? I think when you have somebody like JPL on your team...
Whoa.
Okay, so
here's the thing. Who gets the back line and bothers Kael'thas or Li Ming? That's the problem when you run Tychus and Zagara.
Well, hold the phone.
Holding it.
Team Dignitas, normally, when they either draft Li Ming or Kael'thas, those are both Mene's heroes. So that now means, surely...
He's going to play both at the same time.
Exactly. Thanks, Todd. I appreciate that one.
Who else will play one?
You think only French people can do that, Todd?
I mean, StarCraft players, they're really...
How flexible, for example, Snitch was.
Yeah.
So maybe he plays the other one.
He has to go on Li Ming, I feel. You do not give Mene Kael'thas, right?
Right. The thing about Mene on Li Ming is it's actually his worst hero win rate wise.
But he normally does end up on it anyway in terms of compositions. So this is interesting, because the thing is that you look at the lineup of Jabronis and they want to absolutely shred that front line, but now you're going against a Li Ming Kael'thas that's just going to kind of keep poking and never really trying to take a hard-on engage. That's actually very interesting to see.
I think a key factor also is, again, the Stitches. The last time we saw it come out, all the hooks were landing perfectly, like throughout a fairly, decently long game. Gravity Labs was landing every single time they were grabbing someone. And now, I mean, sure, Muradin can dwarf us out of there, but if Gravity Labs lands a little bit earlier, it could get blown up very, very fast.
Yeah. You can take care of the front line with Leoric and Tychus all you want.
Absolutely.
But you just, you limited yourself so much. They don't have a huge damage dealer other than to the front line. Zagara can get great pokes, she can get great siege damage, but there's nobody, absolutely nobody on the side of Jabronis that's going to walk through that front line and take care of Leeming and Kel'Thas.
No, but we're definitely going to see how it turns out on the battlefield in a very short time. Our casters are ready, guys, and it is an absolute pleasure to introduce to you Gilly and Grubby.
Yeah, hello everyone and welcome to the ESL Arena. And hi everyone to you there at home. The first game is about to be starting. I'm Grubby and this is Gilly, and it's our pleasure to introduce this cast to you.
We're so excited to have the Jabronis versus Team Dignitas. Of course, Dignitas looks on paper to be very strong and could have a very easy time through here, but I don't think it's going to be that easy. The Jabronis got stronger and stronger as the day went on yesterday, and showing a lot of really cool compositions like the panel highlighted.
Yeah, and you were mentioning their draft strategy is very similar to Dignitas, so it's a true force of will between the two here. Can this upstart, who are breaking into the top 4, topple one of Europe's greatest in Team Dignitas? It's going to be a really tall challenge to go up against as it's about to get underway here on Cursed Hollow.
Team Dignitas only dropping one map in their very first day, otherwise getting through pretty unscathed, and that was versus Fnatic, who is not to be, definitely one to be scared of.
Yeah, very strong team. As we see the character sheets here, Team Dignitas is going to be played by Arthas, Rhaegar, Leeming, Stitches, and Kel'Thas. And we don't have the player names right now, but we know these players: Mene, JPL, Bakery, Alex the Prodigy, and Eternal.
And the other side is the Jabronis. Ah, yes, Snitch. The other side is the Jabronis, and as we're pulling up the cards, Crosby will be on Zagara, Leoric will be played by Danatan, Dikazoi played by Tychus, Karazim played by Linked, and Murden will be played by Eternal.
A very interesting draft here by Team Dignitas. There seems to be this general thought not to draft two mages together, as they both fulfill the same purpose: a lot of burst in a very short time, and then a period of downtime where they cannot put out as much damage. If the opponent can make use of this, there are a few seconds where they cannot put out enough, and Jabronis can move in. So it's very much dodge the spells or try to mitigate their damage and then move in. And they've got a lot of pressure on the front line of Team Dignitas with Leoric and Tychus.
Two warrior killers for sure. Team Dignitas, JPL, in the lobby chat was saying, let's see if you can dodge hooks a little bit better than the Fnatic boys could, and with that very first blood showing that JPL is going to be on point with those hooks. He was the last time he played Stitches, but they don't have what they were doing before, which was using hook to bait out mobility spells and then catching them in the entomb once they were done. So they still have ways of following up the hooks, like Howling Blast from Arthas and Gravity Lapse from Kel'Thas. What do you think the plan about hooks will be? Do you think they're focusing on starting the fight with them, or that they will be more into the later parts of fights?
From what we've seen of JPL, he pretty much hits over 90% of his hooks, either to indeed bait out the escape spells or to actually secure a kill. I think they will keep banking off of JPL's incredible skill in the game with his hooks, just to see what is possible. At the very worst, it's a scout into a bush. At the best, you confirm a kill.
There are a lot of places that you can catch people off guard with hooks on Cursed Hollow 2. Specifically the U's in the middle. We've seen players have a lot of fun pulling people in there and then body blocking them in to get kills. There's some good ways of getting away on people from the Jabronis. There's run and gun, which isn't super far, but might be the difference of life and death. Wraith Walk 2 for Leoric. But Zagara, she's gonna have to be very careful.
And Tychus has gone for the shrug it off, the resistance. If he uses run and gun, he will take less damage. But being a ranged assassin, this health pool is small enough to still fall if there is a Gravity Lapse follow-up. Key for Jabronis, it's going to be their level 7, when they can use Karazim to cleanse out hooks and the Gravity Lapse follow-up. But there's always Arthas. Alex the Prodigy always puts himself into an aggressive position to follow up on the escape targets of the hook. So there's contingency plans for that first combo, which really adds a lot of depth to every engagement that Dignitas can start with a hook.
Well, Grubby, looking at the poll and what people have been voting, overwhelmingly thinking that Team Dignitas will make it through this match and into the grand finals once again. But I have faith in the Jabronis, especially after the cool plays we've seen from them yesterday. The first tribute starting to spawn and teams are setting up around it. Li Ming and Leoric staying in the top, countering each other for, that's a big hook, but Linked has a Radiant Dash charge to get back to Dikazoy. But yeah, they're just staying up there making sure that as long as someone else is here soaking the lane, I'm doing it too.
Yeah, exactly. It's a long trip down there, and once you see that the opponent leaves the top lane, you can just get bonus experience, delay the tribute, and then get a lot of experience advantage. Note that Mene, every time he follows up on a hook, he uses the empowered gravity lapse, using his trade burden spheres to add a bonus half second to the stun duration. Trying to confirm the kill this way.
The Jabronis are basically on the 16-second constant timer where a hook goes out, they know that it's down for some time, they can get more aggressive. As it gets closer, they back off, they try to put some minions in front of them, or make sure that they've got somebody with a good escape who can get back, like Linked, but he's not going to Radiant Dash, baby, gets away just barely. No, Alex Leprochi gets another kill for Team Dignitas.
Nicely done by Team Dignitas. They're up 2 kills, and they confirmed the tribute as well. Will now start spreading out again on the map.
I like the setup that Team Dignitas have that we started to see there, where once JPL hooks somebody in, Alex gets aggressive, knowing that, yeah, you can Radiant Dash away, but I'm going to be here with my slows, with my Howling Blast. So they have Mene there for Gravity Lapse for the immediate follow-up, and then Arthas for the later follow-up once a mobility is used. I love that we see them working around mobility heroes at Stitches.
Yeah, they did the same thing yesterday, didn't they?
They did.
When Anubarak Burrow charges out of a hook, there would be Alex Leprochi on Leoric to entomb him in right afterwards. Really good coordination. Eternal trying to dodge the hook. JPL mounts up. Will not try to go for Muradin. There's better things to do.
So this is a very scary spot for the Jabronis, normally feeling pretty confident about getting a tribute in this protected, defended position, but they have to watch out for hooks over the wall. That's a long way to get back to your team if that happens. JPL, though, is fairly aggressive on this side, should start to come out. They have roaches for a little bit to stand behind, but the Jabronis want to get aggressive and not even let that happen, letting Linked pick this up in the back.
It's a really good position for the Jabronis here off the tribute. They confirm it already. They want to fight. They know that Li Ming is still at the top. Snitch has not joined the fight. It's a 5v4. Mene gets taken down in the trees.
Jabronis get their first kill on a hook, dodged by Danatan. And experience still slightly in favor of Team Dignitas, but in getting that kill, the Jabronis are starting to catch back up, and in getting a tribute too, they don't have to worry about the next one potentially if it's in a bad spot for them positionally.
Yeah, because if Jabronis lost that one with the small XP lead that Dignitas have, they're going to have to fight the third one over a talent disadvantage going up against level 10. But now with that kill and the tribute, they're pretty okay. Very daring choice by Dikazoy on Tychus on his level 7 talent choice. He's gone with the quarterback. It's amazing, it's the default choice, but usually when you're up against a team with lots of crowd control effects, stuns, slows, and so on, you take the Relentless Soldier, which gives you a 33% reduction in the duration of all those effects. And I mean, Arthas, this Gravity Lab,
yes,
the Rhaegar Totem, it's pretty daring. He's putting a lot of faith in his support, Linked. But I think Linked is up to the task to cleanse away the effects, at least once per minute.
I think with that, we will very likely see the Titan Grenade for 16 because they are going up against Double Warrior, but also maybe it's to help him be able to poke and stall out tributes from a safer distance.
Yeah, I think you're right. It must be a Cursed Hollow adaptation. Also on Towers of Doom, we'll often see choices like this.
Yeah, and we have Volatile Acid too for Zagara, which kind of helps the same thing with the range. Dikazoy gets hooked back in. He will survive, but Linked starting to get taken down, has to palm himself and not procced. It is not procced.
So that means that the Jabronis have to get out of here. They have nothing left to save their assassins. The next hook is around the corner. Nicely managed here by Team Dignitas. The Devouring Maul only hits a single person. They were unable to capitalize on the kind of swing around fight there across the top.
It is a very hard task to try to steal a tribute away from that rock outcropping for your opponents when it's in the defended position like that.
But let's talk about the battle plan here for the Jabronis. They have a Devouring Maul on 60-second cooldown now. Ideally, the ideal fight for Jabronis, they get a Devouring Maul on Arthas and Stitches, and then they have Muradin jump in on the backline, wreak havoc, and also absorb many of Li Ming's long-distance poking shots. Arcane Orb does reduce damage at close range, so if Merlin is blocking them, his damage dealers are safe to kind of move in, take a more aggressive position, and focus the priority targets. It's going to be a lot down to whether the Devouring Maw can give the Jabronis breathing space against the very formidable front line from Team Dignitas.
And what about Entomb? Do you think that that will go down on the targets that get pulled into Devouring Maw, or do you think it'll be used on the backside of Maw to maybe keep Kayle Foss from escaping?
I think that will be a very powerful one if they get the ideal Devouring Maw. If they are unable to do so, it's not even such a bad idea to just focus Arthas or Stitches, maybe even switch target when you see that Ancestral Healing comes out, because they do have the perfect team to take down the front line. If Zagara takes the Giant Killer Hydralisk at level 16, and we've got percentage damage from Tychus and Leoric, there's nothing that stops them from focusing on Arthas, even through an Ancestral Healing. 5 seconds and he's dead, even with the Ancestral popping, as long as they can protect themselves against the mages.
And not to mention the Draken Laser Drill too can help burn through a target as long as they can keep that protected and not burst it down from those two mages. Level 13 here, both teams have traded out not only a fort, but a boss. There's safe boss on either side, and teams are now working on defending that. It's 2 tributes versus 2 and 13 talents picked up for both teams. This game could not get closer.
Yeah, and that's really good news for Jabronis. I've seen so many games of Team Dignitas. They're starting the game with a kill in the top lane, kill in the mid lane, kill in the bottom lane. And yes, that was a takedown as well. But that's only 4 until now. They've made teams look absolutely amateurish in the opening sequence of any game. And so far that has not been the case. They're completely ignoring the boss, which by the way is going to do almost 50% damage on the keep, favoring instead to get really aggressive in the mid lane already.
Yeah, they hook with the follow-up gravity last. Decozoy gets hit by the Divine Palm. Even if it hadn't been procced, he was just trying to get away. Entomb used as well as Devouring Maw to zone people away, and this is the tank killing JPL.
The Ancestral hit on JPL, as it looks like Jabronis almost managed to land a counter kill. Entomb and Maw getting used on the same person. They seem to have isolated Stitches, but they just needed half a second more to power through the Ancestral healing attempt. And now, with the curse going to Dignitas, and I was a little bit conservative with what the boss was going to do against the keep. It killed it. Winions.
Those were the staunchest of Winions. I cannot believe that the keep went down, but Dignitas did get the curse, so they are starting to push up in the top lane, which has already taken damage from the boss. They want to get a counter keep, but everyone from the Jabronis is finally up. Danatan dodges the hook, not so much the gravity blast, but there's no follow-up there, and they're pushing them away. Entomb zoning JPL from the rest of the team. No Ancestral is available, and Stitch is the first to fall.
Beautiful grenade here by Decozoy, pushing Stitches back and having the Entomb lock him off as well. There we see the giant killing potential here. And they get the kill on Dignitas. Dignitas risk everything on giving up their keep and trying to maybe even end the game and get the curse. But now they find themselves very far behind. Well played by Jabronis.
Mene really wanted to try to at least get the counter kill, but he went down before taking out Zagari. And now Alex again gets thrown back. That is the range from grenade. Decozoy helps his team get a 3rd kill from this.
All right, starting to see why he didn't take Relentless Soldier. Very well played. The underdogs here in the lead. A full level ahead, a keep ahead, and now it's starting to take down a fort as well.
And they're only 1 tribute away from having a curse, even more potential structural damage from them, as well as maybe being able to control the next boss rotation. They're going to be up in about 2 minutes from now.
So there will be talent equality for sure by that time. But of course, Jabronis, they are pressing Dignitas' buttons now, forcing certain reactions. There's 2 waves of minions coming in at the top, so Alex the Pro-G feels compelled to go defend them. He shows on the map, no, he has ignored the minions, instead choosing to join his team, which it's a lot safer.
Now they want to be all together to be safe, maybe to group up, so if they catch someone out of position, they can get quick kills. What was working for them is that they had 1 person down constantly from the Jabronis. And that's the great thing about Stitches, is that he can enable that as long as you can hit the hooks. But the Jabronis have been playing much safer now after the early game of losing a few people in a row to hooks.
Yeah, because these kind of hooks, they can come right out of the court from the fog of war. It's almost like playing against a cloaked character. You really want to consolidate your forces and not have any random losses, now choosing to stay out of the creep tumor. So there is a sense of safety here for Jabronis. If you have a creep tumor to your right and to your south, you think out of sight, out of mind. Suddenly the hook comes out of the left field, but doesn't land anything. It was just a fishing attempt.
The creep has been, you're absolutely right, so important to the Jabronis that they can have vision, especially a good game sense. Everybody from Dig was off the map. They knew that somewhere a hook out of left field, especially with the increased range at 16, was imminent. So they stayed safe, they came out, they're backing off now, and the Jabronis dodging the hook. Actually, Eternal gets hit by it in a Howling Blast, but that's what you want. It wants to be murdered, and here comes Leoric too. They've caught Alex the Pro-G, but it's underneath the fort.
So every time you see that shield appearing, the kind of coat of arms over Meridian's head, you can analyze, okay, that's a missed Dwarf Toss attempt, because Dwarf Toss no longer gives unstoppability. So he gets the resistance, but he doesn't go away. He tried to jump out after that hook, but they kept him there. But no team really wanted to continue.
Oh, no!
Tychus! This tank is gonna get blown up down in Divine Bomb!
Divine Bomb! And the Devouring Maw behind them too, helping the Jabronis get out. They're focusing on Snitch and Bakery in the back. They still have Ancestral Healing. It's used on Alex the Pro-G, and this is starting to look good for Team Dignitas. They have caught Eternal, but Dekazoi not quite blowing up just yet. Bakery trying his best just to jump in and get the kill on Tychus, and there it will be. Linked caught out from the rest of the team. Heal drop too.
Well played by Dignitas. They secure a very important tribute, preventing the opponent from getting the curse, and this also gives them the initiative on the bosses. There was a lot of work being done by Tychus' level 13 choice, Dekazoi, going for that's the stuff. He was down to 10%, Divine Palm already saved him once, and then he kept himself alive for a long time with the minigun. But the position he was in, and choosing to stay to support his team, took a flame strike. That was the beginning of the end of that fight for them. Now the Jabronis, huge risk here, starting a boss. And you know why they're doing this? Is because they're expecting Dignitas to be on the top boss. They're gonna try and contest.
They at least wanted to catch Snitch away from the rest of the team. Eternal's going to start pushing her away, but Bakery is able to walk up, and Snitch has Wave of Force to push Eternal off. That will be the first boss in this rotation being grabbed, and that tribute spawn could not be nicer for Team Dignitas as they want to start heading up to the next one.
Very much so. And well, I think what Jabronis was doing there was a very smart method of contesting a boss. You prevent Li Ming from helping to damage the boss, which slows the acquisition of it by a few seconds. You do it safely, so you don't have any staggered follow-up deaths. And then, yeah, you just get out with your life, having delayed them. And now it looks like TJ, the Jabronis, they have the initiative on the tribute.
They have to use Ancestral Healing very early to keep JPL alive through the Entomb attempt. So those are a few heroics that are down, and that's a big one. Army of the Dead 2 used by Alex for some self-sustainability. Devouring Maw hits 2. It's also zoning a lot of Team Dignitas away, but the Jabronis just want to go for the fight. Mene, a double kill on Kael'thas and Arthas, and the Jabronis have turned this around again.
Beautiful Wraith Walk there by Donatan, choosing to position himself behind the Devouring Maw targets. And they find two targets, the perfect ones, Kael'thas and Arthas, who have no mobility, and secure the kill. I was a bit worried there for Jabronis since Tychus, Dekazoi, he found himself on the wrong side, but he rotated around, lost a bit of damage, but Crosby really pulling through for the team there, getting a crucial Devouring Maw.
The Maw was so good in that fight. Not only pulling 2 in, but the zoning potential that they had from it, and that is a curse and a boss for the Jabronis, who have taken down 2 people. They'll be up in 10, but JPL is caught in the Entomb. He's running away. Eternal Dwarf tosses in, but he uses the Putrid Bile movement speed bonus to get away from that. But that's a heroic that was down that would help with defense, and a keep will drop.
And we need a kill right now. This is what Dignitas needs. They're going for Crosby. They get it. Divine Palm doesn't get there on time. Linked. He doesn't palm himself as well. For 2 deaths with Palm off, but they get JPL. Jabronis, can they make it work here at the core?
JPL is down. The boss is falling pretty fast, but so is the core. Tychus is down. There's only Leoric and Muradin left. They're doing what they can, though. 20%,
Jabronis.
10%. The Jabronis take game number 1 against Team Dignitas.
The underdog topples one of the favorites in Europe. Jabronis with a strong and powerful statement here in the opening match of day 3 of the Gamescom ESL Fall Regional, the final chance to qualify for BlizzCon later this year.
That game was back and forth between the teams, but I have continued to be amazed by the patience that Jabronis show. Even having staggered deaths at some point, losing people at the boss, but backing off and having to give up a boss, but knowing that they can contest the next one, making such smart moves individually, like that Maw from Crosby, and as a team together. The Jabronis proving that they deserve to be here at the semifinals.
Completely agree there, Gilly, and I feel like the most impressive things weren't even what the Jabronis did, impressive as it was, but the mistakes that they didn't make. There was no complacency about the hooks. They stayed well out of range of all obvious places after the initial phase of the early game. And they never really got caught off. They didn't get tilted by the staggered deaths. Wonderfully played.
Even at the end, the core call, still, they lost Zagara. That was really the first time in a long time that we had seen somebody other than Leoric and Murden get hit by a hook, but they still knew that with the boss, they had exactly what they needed to take out the core there.
Very good estimation there by Jabronis, and I'll love to hear what the analysts have to say about this game. Take it away, guys.
Wow, what a way to start these playoffs, guys. The underdog, the dark horse, if you will, the Jabronis, they managed to do the impossible almost, because let's be honest, nobody expected them to take this very first game. However, guys, I want to talk about something that struck me a little bit. Double mage. I mean, there is a saying in Heroes of the Storm that double mage usually doesn't work too well, Kalaris. What do you have to say about that?
It didn't work out there, did it, I suppose? The thing is that when you're running double mage, especially double warrior, and even Stitches, technically, if Dignitas is super patient about a lot of the fights, they're almost always going to win the poke war. And there was very little that they could actually exert onto them, the Jabronis, of course, to even try and deal with that. But they weren't patient with it, really. They had some hooks every so often. In some, but then towards the end, I'm like, okay, so if they're patient, the only way that Jabronis can either win this is either a really good Maw or something other than a team fight. And then they got a good Maw. Good job, guys. It worked.
They've pretty much got a couple of good Maws there. I mean, also Dikasoy on that Tychus, he was absolutely on point, always placing those laser drill when he needed to. And also the double warrior comp here for the Jabronis did a lot of work, J-Ho.
You know, they did a lot of work, but I do want to go back. One of the most highly contested heroes that we're going to see between these two teams is Zagara. I believe we're going to have a replay, and if we do have that, there's going to be something I think I definitely want to talk about. It's the hook play. You know, a lot of times what you do when you have a Stitches hook, the minute that hook comes in, a lot of the old school strategy was to just collapse. We're not going to go to the replay. But when Stitches hook comes out, you collapse onto it. That last fight, Stitches was by himself. The Entomb followed up and killed him. And hey guys, first ban.
Wow. And guess what? We're going to play on Tomb of the Spider Queen. It's a little bit of a smaller battleground compared to Cursed Hollow. Rotation's ever so important. The distance between the lanes is very, very short. So we see a Kel'Thas being taken away here. The Jabronis don't want to give Mene his go-to hero.
Is that the first Kel'Thas first ban rotation in the tournament?
The first and last.
Might be, yeah.
I think
Maybe.
so.
And Leoric has picked up very quickly. Good wave clear, which on this map is going to be useful. There you go, J-Ha. I know you've been wishing to see more.
This is not a surprise. They did this yesterday. Yesterday. They played yesterday. They first picked Leoric. But I love the fact that Zul is picked up by Jabronis. Zul, I think this is one of his top 2 maps. He does excellently to clear lanes. I'm just curious what they're going to follow up.
And it was an interesting build that they used with it as well, going for the Jailer with Comp Explosion later on, amplified damage. Amplified damage is normal, but they had great blow-up potential. So let's see if they follow up with more.
Yesterday, they went Kale Lunara. We talk about double mage. It's not necessarily double mage, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do see another Lunara. But you guys think about the follow-up potential between an ETC Zul. Those guys are going to be roaming together. You get the power slide, you get the jail, and then somebody to blow it up behind that. Greymane, maybe?
They could pull a Fnatic here and just go like Falstad Tassadar.
Solo Tass.
And you just go auto-attack Falstad, etc., etc. I don't know how well-versed they are at that. Like, I know these guys really well, but not that one. I don't think they really play that too much. But it's certainly a possibility with the Leoric already there.
They did run solo Tassadar yesterday.
Oh, they did, didn't they?
They ran Tassadar, they ran Leoric, Kel'Thas, Lunara, Tassadar, Stitches.
And Tira, a guy that we see bans with Falstad a lot of the time in first ban, actually is going to come out here.
Yeah, and you raise a really good point there. I mean, as long as you have targets that can sort of take care of themselves, like Azul, when he uses his bone shield, for example, or his bone armor, then we have the ETC, who is not really a target that's known to fall easily. I think we can see a Soul Tassadar indeed.
I would love Falstad here. Like, now that I look at it, you've got Entomb for the Gust Entomb combo, you've got it for to deal with the Mosh Pit. Even if Zul actually even Bone Prism someone and they were in extreme trouble, you could just Gust the entire team away. I really like it here, but I don't know if they're gonna.
Yeah, Gust is one of those heroics that comes back really fast, so he can come into play so many times. Sometimes even at the boss, you can see some crazy Gust to set up these fights towards the middle of the map, or just to disengage against what seems to be, you know, when there's an ETC, something you could be worrying about.
So guys, one of the core qualities that a warrior should usually bring to the table is, of course, crowd control to lock people down. Turiel and Leoric don't really have the greatest of stuns or crowd control in general, right? So it takes a while until they get that into. Do you think that's something that Dignitas is taken into account here?
Well, I mean, surely, right? Like, they've got some good wave clear. I think hanging in there and then trying to form a composition that's there to win fights later on is going to be the priority. They've got some pretty good escapes. Breath Walk, Barrel Roll on the Falstad. They don't really have any hero, you know, that should be getting caught and sniped instantly. So I think they'll be all right.
Right.
I think they're considering what is going to be coupled up with the Zul less than what's going to be coupled up with the ETC, and Tychus is going to be the pick. Huh. Because I was thinking Skeletal Mages would come out again on this map like they did yesterday, and then trying to find some vulnerability. Maybe it could have been a Grey main ban to like try and stop that execution at level 16 doing so much, but to be the Tychus.
To the Jabronis, maybe go for something even more aggressive and grab like a Tyrande and, you know, just try to go around and snipe everybody, you guys think?
Rhaegar, of course, always a hero that fits into almost any team comp. And the Grey main, there we go. Great follow-up for that Bone Prison here from Zul as well.
Yesterday, guys.
Very dangerous.
Yesterday, Jabronis, Zul, ETC, Grey main, Jaina,
yes,
and whatever support.
I mean, if they go Jaina here, it'd be perfect. Like, in terms of that blow-up potential that they had yesterday, they made it look good with Zul, with all the slows, with the Executioner. They went Frostbitten, they went Lingering Chill on that Jaina, and it worked brilliantly. It looked great.
Of course, something we also see on the side of Dignitas here, Todd, is that Mighty Gust Entomb potential, right? They have a combo where you trap a single target, or maybe even two targets, and then you put everybody else away. And here he goes. That's a Tassadar.
The solo Tass is coming out.
Yep. Yeah, Lunara. Something they kind of took over from Fnatic.
Familiar.
Yeah, they were scared about the potential of the final pick for Jabronis being Lunara, because actually she fulfills the similar role to how they ran Jaina yesterday, with the poisons, etc., and the slow, and then the Executioner to follow it up, amplify damage. Oh, what a surprise! Hey!
It's Jaina. But go with what you know and go with what works.
But as I say, at least they don't have to deal with the potential of the Lunara against the solo Tassadar. So it's like they kind of probably knew what was coming, but it's like the lesser of two evils.
So Entombed, Gust, Force Wall, the Cork, the Bottle build of Grubby could come into play here.
All I know is Dignitas is going to have to play very safe. The blow-up potential, the lockdown potential between ETC and Zul, and then the follow-up between Greymane and Jaina. You've got to be very, very careful if you're playing with that solo Tassadar. Now, obviously, you got the shields from Tyrael. Leoric can get away, but the position of Lunara, Falstad are going to be particularly interesting.
Now, the thing about this draft as a whole is the Jabronis ran this draft against a more, I would say, defensive draft yesterday, where Jabronis were trying to exert the pressure onto their opponents with that kind of style of locking something down, blowing it up with Jaina and with Greymane. This time, they're going up against an aggressive composition because you're with a Tassadar. It's all about the auto attacks from, if they do go auto attack Falstad like Fnatic do. And if Dignitas seizes the fight and is in control of them from the very beginning, this might not work as well as it did for the Jabronis yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. But without further ado, let's throw it over to the casters, guys. The Jabronis are leading 1-0, and Grubby and Gilly are at the ready.
Thank you, Kendrick. As we get the show on the road here, 1-0 in this best of 5. We've got Team Dignitas arrayed here on the right side. Leoric is going to be played by Alex the Prodigy, Tyrael by JPL, Tassadar is by Bakery. We've got Snitch on Falstad and Mene on Lunara.
And for the Jabronis, who are up 1-0 in this series, we're gonna have Linked playing Rhaegar, Eternal on Zul, Decozoy playing Greymane, Jaina played by Crosby, and Danatan will be playing ETC.
Now we've got this very interesting difference in the objective. I mean, the objective is to kill the enemy's core.
Of course.
The method to do it with is very different for these two teams. We've got a kill composition by Jabronis, where they try to bone prison someone, power slide in, face melt, set it up for Greymin and Jaina to take them down. Team Dignitas, they'll take any advantageous fight they can. If the odds are good, they'll take it. However, they're not really eager to get that kill potentially. They've got a lot of good wave clear, and their goal really is to take Lunara and put her on a magic carpet and have her fly into the level 20 zone. Lunara scales so well into the late game, and Dignitas has the perfect tools to disengage. They can Wraith Walk out, force wall the opponent away, Mighty Gust them away, they can Sanctification if they get in trouble, and they want to get massive poison damage by Lunara in the late game on every enemy hero before they even start a fight.
The one thing that scares me about that idea for Team Dignitas is when we saw the Jabronis play Jaina and Zul together on Tomb of the Spider Queen yesterday, they were going for an execution comp. They had Northern Exposure and Amplified Damage at 16, which was two different ways to make someone vulnerable and blew anybody up. A warrior, a damage dealer, it didn't matter. They were gone.
And of course, these two vulnerabilities get stacked. Minus 25% is 50% bonus damage on any target. That is so deadly, as you well pointed out. Dignitas is going to have to try and dodge that bullet as they hope to secure a long game here against the Jabronis. Even if they fall back to 3 keeps, losing 3 forts, it would not be the end of the day, so long as they can get to that late game. But we'll see how the early game is going to be going.
Jaina is typically considered a very good early game hero because of her damage and slows, and with ETC, they have the potential to get picks. So Dignitas will be wanting to make sure that although they can keep controlling and going through these, they're going to actually lose Tyrael, but he's going to jump in and take out Link, so it'll be a 1-for-1. But they'll want to be going through those rotations still, not losing out too much in lanes. The vision that they have helps them do that between Tassadar and the Wisp from Lunara.
Very true, and I have almost no doubt that Tassadar might be taking mental acuity here, taking bonus extra vision at level 4, being able to do it far more often. Even if he doesn't, I guess there is already coverage with the Wisp as well.
Yeah, especially because Leeching Plasma, with him being the only support and them having all auto attack heroes really that could help in supporting his team. But Dignitas have been doing a really great job with these rotations. They've been the ones going through the turn-in zone and have netted themselves a first tower.
There we go with that Leeching Plasma, recognizing as solo support they do indeed need that healing. Here we see again an attempt at getting a kill. Bone Prison goes down on Tyrael. Another kill here. He's going to use his Even in Death talent to try and get a return kill again. Eternal, and it works again. Tyrael, one of the most spiteful people, who is such a sore loser. He will not just go down and take it.
So again, a 1-for-1 kill between the two teams as they're also trying to pick up gems and get the first turn in. Team Dignitas is a little bit behind in what's turned in, but they've stayed very close to each other. But still, I'm impressed by using this Leoric and Lunara, that they're able to be the ones who are controlling this turn in, and with Tassadar too.
Yeah, about equal gems on both sides. Not too many have been paid yet. Generally, you'll see teams saving up their gems until they get 50. Paying before that is pretty much a way to just cut your losses in case you do die. Something a lot of players don't hope to believe in.
Danatan stalls Alex from dropping 21 gems to the bank. Eternal again is going to start taking damage. Throws out a Bone Prison, but it's on Alex the Pro G who Wraith walks to safety. And that is the name of the game for Team Dignitas. They want to control this, but they also have whatever they need to disengage when the Jabronis try to get those early game picks.
Exactly. And Tyrael's talents kind of play into that as well. Even in death, it's very flashy as a way to get a kill on the opponent, because you can use a Druid's Might to get a really good location for your explosion, which, by the way, does more damage thanks to that talent. But it also allows him to use his other abilities in death, which includes the shield and the speed increase element on your allies of Smite. And this is, again, of course, a disengage tool.
Right, we talk about a solo support Tassadar, but oh no, Mene is going to be caught here. Bone Prison means no escape from Mene. Now, I don't think Team Dignitas will be able to get the follow-up kill. They even bring Snitch up, but this time the Jabronis were far healthier than they were in the previous fights.
Such arrogance here by Jabronis, pushing into the enemy tower, securing the kill on Lunara, who tried to get as far away as she could, but she cannot jump over the gates yet.
Yeah, what I was saying is it's a solo support Tassadar, but they also do have Tyrael to help with shielding. It's not going to be what...
Jabronis!
They're getting aggressive. It's time.
4 takedowns already, as Dignitas' disengage is not working out yet. JPL uses a Druid's Might to jump in. Could this have been a mistake? So far will not pay for it.
We've got level 7 talents for both teams. Cleanse here for Rhaegar, but as it's just Tassadar for Dignitas, there is no Cleanse to help with the Bone Prisons, to help with, I guess it really is, the big one is Bone Prison, but there's not gonna be that tool for Team Dignitas. So again, be on the lookout this game for Bone Prisons, because they can turn a fight very quickly in the Jabronis' favor.
And Tyrael's not really helping himself, trying to stay alive. He's not taking the shield talent or anything like this, amplified healing. He's gone for a complete damage build, more Eldruin's Might, even in death, and then reciprocate the shield at level 7 as well.
Later on, once he gets Holy Ground in picking up Herodric Reforging, he'll be able to have that more often. And between that and Entomb, they'll have a lot of ways of zoning the Jabronis, trying to catch people, body block them, and getting kills. At least letting Mene throw out a lot of damage for poison so that they can't get away. But as level 7 is here, Mene did pick up Nature's Culling, and you can see the damage that Lunara's auto attacks do now that that talent's been picked up alongside these web weavers. They're pushing in for a first fort.
Yeah, so sick. Just look at that wall. Half of its HP is poison and is going down thanks to Nature's Culling. Which, by the way, already got a small nerf in the previous patch. It only does 2.5 times the amount of poison damage on PvE. Used to be 3 times as much, and it's still really potent. First web weavers by Dignitas, as you can see, getting a nice bit of an XP lead here. So despite being 2 versus 4 takedowns, we have a small lead for Dignitas. Of course, they have fewer gems because they use them to get this lead, but they can try to continue to control the pain points.
Right. The Jabronis are pretty close to heroic abilities, and Dignitas do need to still collect just a few more to be able to get another turn in. But if they play their cards right, as you said, it's possible Team Dignitas could get a second one in a row. And with the damage that they did to towers in every lane, we could see them potentially get multiple forts depending on how that phase goes. As the Jabronis see Dignitas pick up heroic abilities, they've backed up. They want to get bruisers so that maybe off of these bruisers, they can either get a turn in once they have their own, or at least help stave off pressure in the mid if Dignitas get another one.
Yeah, exactly, and they need that. Donatan,
oh,
Donatan
23! Those 23 gems!
Dikwazo, get in there! Get those gems! There's only 5 of them.
It was a nice pickup for Team Dignitas, though. 47 after 50. There's still enough for the Jabronis to pick up a turn-in, but they are losing these lanes so hard, even with Azul. They've still been losing towers. They've nearly lost a fort. These are very much controlled by Dig.
Yeah, this is incredible, Gilly. We've got this kill comp who is not getting the advantage that they need in the early game against kind of a late game team. Now, you have pointed out it's not all a linear distribution between the benefit of early and late game. Jabronis hits a huge power spike at level 16. So they're not as far ahead as they would like to be until level 10, but they've got a power spike at level 16 until now, and they've always have a chance of Marsh Pit.
They don't use that, but they do use Poison Nova, and that gets them Leorc. But look at the health bars for the Jabronis. That is the damage that Poison can have, hitting multiple people, and the Jabronis are going to back off, and the wave will start pushing. And because Dignitas have done such a great job of controlling these lanes.
Oh, the Force Wall.
Ancestral Healing keeps Danatan alive. They've got Tyrael in very far. He has to use Sanctification to get out of there, but JPL will survive.
JPL had to use Sanctification on himself, jumping in there, perhaps hoping to save his allied warrior, but not have been feeling the Tyrael JPL yet. It seems like Aori hasn't played exceedingly much in the recent months, at least in competitive.
We'll see how that continues to work for Team Dignitas. For now, at least, though, their composition has been very good at getting gains from web weavers, as another fort will drop and the bottom one goes down too. So all of the forts for the Jabronis are gone. But I don't think we've had a turn-in for them yet.
No, they lost that big plethora of gems on ETC. Donatan, who got caught by the 5-man grouping of Dignitas in the bot lane. They have about 60 gems or so, and they're very close to paying 47 out of 50. Jaina, before, Crosby, he tried to get the turn-in when ETC died. He tried to get it at the top, but Leoric was putting a stop to that. So as of yet, not yet. And look at this, a 3-man boss attempt, while 2 people are guarding the pay-in stations. Leoric, Alex the Pro G coming in, Snitch, flying in on Falstad, looking to use Gust to secure this boss. Can he do it? Mighty Gust will not be activating yet.
Lunara is down. Poison Nova and Mosh Pit. Mosh Pit is in everybody. The Tyrael is down, Lunara is dropped, Bakery's not going anywhere. The Jabronis, 12 to 13, just stole this boss and are about to get a team wipe.
They accept the humble proposition and offering from Team Dignitas, who say, we want to do everything. We want to stop you from paying at the top shrine, paying at the bottom altar, and also we want to have 3 people on the boss. No problem if you come in here. We'll just send in Leoric, fly in Snitch, kill the boss like we always do, and Mighty Gust you away. But the Jabronis, they were waiting for the boss to hit 2% life, power slide in right then at the crucial time where Snitch would have liked to finish the boss and gust them away. Perfect timing by Jabronis, and they actually take this game back. Thank you very much from Team Dignitas.
They don't want to lose Linked here. It might be inevitable though, as JPL chases him down. That's not as many gems as we lost when ETC went down earlier. Just 8 this time, not 20. And the boss push has been at least stopped here, but there's a Webweaver phase behind it too. The Jabronis had the turn-in and went up and stole the boss too.
Yeah, exactly, and they could have gotten even more value out of it if Linked hadn't unfortunately fallen here, be it his over-eagerness to support the boss or Dignitas' cleverness taking him down. The end situation is that 2 almost full Webweavers in the middle and the bottom could no longer be supported by Jabronis, bringing this from a potentially 16 versus 14 situation where all forts die to just a level lead narrowly.
Another thing that Jabronis have going for them besides the level lead too, though, is, well, Danatan is going to be caught, is power sliding through the Entomb and gets out of it, despite Force Wall being used.
Like a train in the tunnel running through Leoric there. Watch out.
They also know that their opponents, Team Dignitas, are a long way away from turn-ins. Yes. They got 2 in quick succession, so 26 are all that they hold for gems, and Dignitas, soon they're going to have to make a difficult decision. Do we try to defend these despite the fact that Jabronis are going to have 16 talents?
Yeah, they have about a 2-second window to do so, but they're not the team to really do a 2-second fight. They're in disengaged comp. So now suddenly they're against the talent lead, and there's few teams who will willingly take a talent down fight to fight over a neutral area. Because of the risk inherent, your win chance is much lower without that crucial level 16. And here's those talents that you were mentioning, Gilly, the vulnerability on Jaina, the vulnerability on Zul, really focusing someone down, and of course execution on Greymane.
It's the execution composition coming to fruition along with Webweavers. The best Dignitas could do was get Bruisers to help stave off the middle lane, which has the healthiest fort. The bottom one, the fort is about half down and there is none in top. So if they can try to push in maybe this middle lane here and hold the members of Team Dignitas for a long time, they can hope that the top Webweaver will push that lane very far and start opening up for a next Bosch push.
Exactly, that's how Jabronis is hoping for it to do. Dignitas, however, is prioritizing their defense perfectly. First, as a team, dealing with the most close Webweaver and then going to the middle for the 5v5. Now, this is a fairly neutral fight if Dignitas gets level 16.
They are almost there. 16 has been picked up. JPL hit by Bone Prison in Eternal.
Maybe.
Getting pretty aggressive. Jumps back in. There's Holy Ground. Danatan caught by Entomb.
Oh, the Entomb inside with the Holy Ground. So this time Donatan could not power slide out. Nicely done. All their heroics have been used for Dignitas. All they've got is Sanctification.
Eternal took a lot of damage and will go down. Dropped Poison Nova before he hit. And they had to be careful because JPL could once again jump in with Holy Ground. Decozoid going in and they get a counter kill on Alex.
Well, you could see Dignitas doing so much damage on Leoric there, on Alex the Pro G, but it didn't really become mind-bogglingly high until Jabronis landed a single slow from Jaina and suddenly procced Executioner. From that moment, it was lights out for Leoric.
And as our awesome observer showed, the top lane, because the Jabronis hung around in mid for so long and made Dignitas stay there too, top keep is all but gone for Team Dignitas.
About 10% life on that keep. Easy to finish off later for Jabronis. Don't want to sacrifice a hero for it though. And there's also no Merc camps pushing that, except of course the boss itself. So there is some risk at trying to finish it off.
Yeah, but it's so low enough that if they got another team wipe, that would be...
Oh, that's the win condition,
yes,
for sure. Anytime Dignitas loses 3 members here, that's game over. Boss will be taken, which, by the way, just respawned, and they can finish through the top lane.
There is enough gems for a turn-in for Jabronis. Jaina might be in trouble here. JPL jumping in, force ball, very good. Crosby, I'm not sure he's going to survive out of the sanctification use. Crosby will drop in the back, though. Danatan has used his mosh pit. They're still trying to get a counter kill to tie this up, and Eternal is very far in, and Snitch with a mighty gust pushes them all, pushes him into, it's 3 down. Only Volstad goes down, though. Dikazoid trying to bring this back.
In a moment of spiteful naivety, Dikazoid tried to get the counter kill there, even though many members of his team had already fallen, going for Mene, but the very timely shield from Bakery, and Dignitas takes a 4-for-1.
Ancestral healing not being used in that fight.
6 seconds off. One wonders if Team Dignitas was keeping a mental count. Maybe one of the players on the team were like 69, 68, 67, until finally, okay, we've got 6 seconds left. They went for Jaina. Ancestral healing was not yet available. And they managed to get that first kill there. A lot of lockdown with Force Wall and Tomb. Who needs stuns?
They want this boss. This time, knowing that not everyone will be up from the Jabronis to
This
stop
time,
this.
for sure.
This time, they're okay. A Snitch is gonna fly in anyway. They're taking no chances here.
No fancy guarding of the pay points needed even, as they already summoned the Red Web Weavers.
This will be a strong push for Team Dignitas. And with the right kills, with Webweaver and Boss hitting this top lane, this could be it in tying up the series. Very important that we don't see the Jabronis get caught in the same kind of issue with the positioning because of Force Wall, because of Entomb 2. They need to start working this down, using the damage that they have to take these out.
Entomb there on Dikazoid, Greymane getting focused down, Half-Life, Ancestral hits, and it procs!
He's jumping in too, but he's taken damage cleanse, using to bring him out. And this is the power of late game Lunara. They have lost their support. Linked is no more. Eternal not only getting hit by Lunara, but the wave from the Webweaver, and the boss is still half health. This is tough and tougher for the Jabronis to be able to defend here. All of the members of Team Dignitas staying behind the boss, but the boss is getting brought down pretty fast, and they're still shielding on the core.
Yeah, nice. They're taking down the boss right before they take even a single percentage of damage. Team Dignitas got what they wanted to keep. They were hoping maybe for more. They were thinking maybe we finished, but unable maybe to really utter their hope into a certainty. This was not a clear one yet. And Tomb misses.
Danatan gets out of there, and the Jabronis have been able to stop Dignitas from winning the game with 20, with Boss, with the Webweavers too. A long time until Dignitas will get another Webweaver chance. But they have opened up a keep, so now, next big team fight, next big team wipe, that's the team who's gonna get it.
Yeah, exactly. Any hero death here can mean the end. There is practically nothing left on the top keep for Team Dignitas. Both teams have reached level 20. And no team really had a major lead at any point in the game, so it's only fitting that we get to level 20 here on relative equality. Even so, Team Dignitas, they've got catapults pushing in the top lane, and Falstad, Snitch, who can occasionally push it and put real pressure on the enemy core.
There's a lot of survivability for both teams that came out at level 20. Jaina, last time we saw the Jabronis pick up Jaina, I believe it was Arcane Power at 20 here on Tomb, but that's not the case this time.
They were winning confidently.
Yeah.
Now with that ice block, Danatan taking a lot of punishment here. Crushing Hope going down. Half-Life already. Mene hitting with the Wrecking Ball.
Oh, he's gone from the team. Snitch pushes him back into the wall too, and no ancestral healing. Linked was stopped by the Entomb. Now they have to just make this work without Daniter, without ETC, but they still have a few people. They've lost Jaina too, but everyone from Dig also pretty low in health. Eternal far up, but
there's a lot of damage pressure here on Dignitas. They are all to 10% life, but you know, short by a centimeter, short by a mile, everyone is still alive, and Tassadar is keeping everyone alive. To be honest, Gilly, we know this is game over, but I don't really know why Jabronis was here. Once again, when ETC died, Ancestral Healing was 6 seconds off. Now let's talk about the pressure of contesting that objective. Jabronis, they had all the gems in the world to pay, but Dignitas did not, crucially. So it was not needed for Jabronis to contest, only for Dignitas. And I feel like they wagered everything, Jabronis, without Ancestral Healing, without really bringing their full power in. Dignitas does it, the equalizer. 1-1 in this best of 5, GG.
Team Dignitas will tie it up with the Jabronis. And even though they won that, it did look scary at times, especially the boss up at the top, the very first one. The Jabronis able to come in with a great steal on that, even being level 12 to 13. And I feel like at that point, Team Dignitas had to be like, what is happening right now? How is this happening? Not that they underestimate the Jabronis.
I wonder if maybe they did, because you're thinking like Mighty Gust is like a way out of trouble, but what if you get stunned during it? But they're thinking like, maybe you won't stun me on time. There's a kind of hopefulness to it that, yeah, we have Faustad, we've got an easy way out of any trouble. And now they can no longer underestimate their opponents.
Well, I hope that we'll get to maybe see that fight again, but I guess that depends on what replay J-How chose. But we're gonna head over to the panel and see what they thought for game number 2.
Thank you very much, guys. Wow, it's a tie, 1-1. There are 2 things I want to talk about here, though. Actually, it's one thing if you combine them. Poison Nova, Water Elemental, 2 very unusual, almost exotic heroic abilities these days. Can you talk to us, or can you explain to us why they actually went for it? Jabronis, that is.
I think if they went for a Ring of Frost against TRL, obviously it might have been negated greatly, so it was the right call, I think, to go for Water Elemental, although it didn't work.
The interesting thing about the Poison Nova is that I'm pretty sure the reason they take that over the Skeletal Mages like they did yesterday is because they see Tassadar on the other side, who would have a very difficult time of being able to sustain against it if it hits anyone, but it hardly ever hit anybody, and when it did, it was against a Lunara, who I'm pretty sure had Spell Shield anyway. Yeah. So not great.
And then, of course, there's Tyrael with that Sanctification, who can greatly deny the impact of Poison Nova entirely, guys. But, you know, Dignitas, they won that second game, but do you think they're happy with how they won it?
They looked happy. I mean, for whatever that's worth. I mean, we saw game number 1. It was kind of, I don't want to say it was a fluke. I mean, there was like the big maul, the weird hook, and they tried something different. It didn't work out for them. This, again, was something different, but it was far more within what they're used to, I think, especially solo Tassadar on this map in particular, guys, with Leoric. We've been seeing more and more of it. I felt they executed it fairly well.
Yeah, and JPL was on the TRL. You know, usually you'd expect Alex to be on it, but now he had to be the Leoric. So I'm getting more and more impressed with this guy and how many heroes he can play and how well he plays them as well.
One of the things that stood out for me for Team Dignitas in this composition was the fact that we didn't see full auto-attack Falstad at all. It was actually just a normal mage Falstad, which normally with this comp you would run the auto-attack because you're getting the Leeching Plasma benefit from Tassadar to get full sustain across your comp, and then even Thornwood Vine over Leaping Strike. Now, when you're running this kind of comp, you don't have the sustain for a full, prolonged, long team fight. So Thornwood Vine kind of goes towards that poke style, where I thought Leaping Strikes could have like constantly really hindered people. And you get Unstoppable, which would have saved you from bone prisons, etc. But they won anyway, so who am I to complain, I guess.
But in the early mid-game, we got to admit that Jabronis actually looked strong, and Dignitas struggled a little bit. And you mentioned the poking aspect here from Lunara, whereas Tyrael, he normally enables very offensive and engaging team comps. So do you think that might have been the reason why Dignitas struggled a little bit in the early stages of the game?
You know, it was weird because we saw exactly what we thought we were going to see. We saw the power slide, we saw the lockdown with the Bone Prison, and then we see the follow-up with Jaina. That's exactly what we expected to see early game. Think about that boss fight that they went up there and they took, that mosh pit that landed. Tassadar, there's no cleanse, and I think he might have even been caught in it. But, you know, the Mighty Gust, everything, the positioning was really weird. You weren't able to get any value out of the Mighty Gust because you were stunned out. And so there were a lot of, like, misplays, I think, from the early to mid-game, but they seemed to collect themselves later on. And, you know, as much as they did go on, you talked about, I expected Leaping Strike as well. That didn't come out. But the amount of poison damage that Lunara, I'd love to see the stats on what we got out there. That was good stuff.
All right, and of course, the third battleground is now going to be played. It's going to be on Infernal Shrines. And just in case, guys, you weren't aware or you just tuned in, it's going to be a best of 5 in this semifinal. So the winner of this game doesn't automatically qualify for the finals here.
So the Jabronis, after what's happened against the TRL just now, they don't ban it. Might have been planning on picking it. They went for the fast side instead, but Dignitas obviously going to ban that. They don't want to have to face the very scary TRL. Yeah. And a very quick first pick here, actually, on the Kerrigan, which is great on this map.
I was going to say, look for an early Arthas pickup here for Dignitas. There they go away, yeah.
We never see Kerrigan and Arthas together nowadays. It's always...
It used to be one of the deadliest ganking squads that you could imagine in the earlier stage of the game.
Way back on Haunted Mines at level 4, where both had Venom. Holy moly.
The good days.
But, I mean, the Arthas pick up first. It really feels now like Alex feels that this is his most comfortable hero. And when you've got a solid frontline and Alex is in his comfort zone, I think they're in a good spot normally.
Yeah, and Infernal Shrines, of course, is a map that empowers Kerrigan by a large margin. And the Jabronis, they do have a player like Eternal who has a wide and really flexible hero pool. So the Kerrigan might be the right hero for him.
Absolutely, yeah. I was talking to Linked earlier and I was asking him, you know, what are the best qualities that you guys have? He was telling me, well, we're very solid mechanical, you know, hero league players, and we have Eternal. He's one of the best flex, in my opinion, in Europe. That's what he was saying. As good as some of the flex that we have on the other top teams. So here he's going to come into play and he's going to have a good game on that one because lots of responsibility on the Queen of Blades' shoulders.
Yeah, this is very, very European, the Arthas Sylvanas early pickup on Infernal Shrines. And look at that potential.
That's the Shrine Clear Dream Team in Kerrigan and KL Fast. Very, very nice.
Stun into stun into stun. I mean, if you get that chain off, you gotta feel very sorry for that hero, for the enemy hero that gets trapped into it.
That's as wombo combo as it gets here on Infernal Shrines.
Absolutely. Now they're gonna ban away something from the Jabronis. Maybe a strong support in that case, maybe an Uther. I mean, Uther with Kerrigan and ETC might work wonders here, to be honest. Okay, it's gonna take a while. Sylvanas, on the flip side though, ever so deadly on Infernal Shrines. Just think of all the impact she had throughout the tournament, disabling buildings when the Punisher is pushing Todd.
And I think, a lot of teams actually, they've been emphasizing making sure they win that Shrine and make sure they get the Punisher on their side, because if you let Sylvanas get away with that, you're going to have some very quick games sometimes out there. She's just going to push through and crush everything.
This is interesting. Okay, so we see the fact that they banned out Rhaegar, which means that they're likely going into a Kharazim. That's going to give Uther over to ETC. The thing about Linked is, out of the 37 games I have of draft data, at least before this weekend, he's played Uther once.
Do you really think that as a support on this level just can't bust it out, though? I mean,
some people aren't necessarily as comfortable. And think about this draft data, right? So Uther got changed about a month and a half ago. I don't even know what day it is today. But how much experience has he had? How much practice has he had? I'm sure that they practice all heroes and everybody like that, but it's a lot different when you get to the game on a big stage.
Maybe as of late, I guess, he might not have had as much practice on Uther, but he's a player who's been around for a long time. He was playing in the Alpha already. He was on SK Gaming for some time.
It's a lot different Uther now.
Yeah,
it's a lot different. At least talent-wise. Yeah, I mean, there was the old piano keys Uther that everybody was real familiar with, but it's a lot different.
And they know.
Actually, being picked up by Dignitas.
Yeah, Dignitas basically picks it up for themselves, potentially as a counter pick for the Jabronis. But it's really interesting to see that we're not only seeing a Uther being picked up, but also that ban on a support that's very unusual for the process or the course of the tournament here thus far. Normally, you don't get to see a lot of support bans. So far.
The last time they went with this, guys, you know what happens, right?
Yes.
This map in particular,
You know what?
Jaina, and they wait till the last pick to see what Jabronis has, and we might be seeing another Zeratul come out.
Do you think the Dignitas Dream Team Jaina Zeratul is something we might get to see here?
It's possible.
It's possible. The thing is,
It's very hard. You can't take it away now, right? Like then you would have Zeratul and Kerrigan on your side.
Right.
There is also, what about Abathur? We saw a couple of copies being used very well when there was a Jaina in there.
Yeah, there goes the Tassadar.
The thing is, it's JPLs that they've got to get right now. So they either go Double Warrior or they go Zeratul.
The Tassadar has got to be like, hey, we're going to have an extra support, but let's make sure in case they go Zeratul, we've got somebody that has vision like Tassadar.
Yeah,
exactly. And he's just such a wonderful addition for that Kerrigan. I mean, shields galore, that's exactly what she wants, to become that threat, especially around the skeletal defenders.
They don't look super happy right now.
Yeah.
Look at the camera.
Yeah.
They know what's coming. That's the problem.
but I wonder if that Tassadar is going to dissuade Dignitas from running it. I mean, it's not a guarantee, but it's something that we definitely saw them run on this map in particular. And you talk about the potential that they could have there, but all of a sudden Tassadar's picked up. I mean, think about if you go mental acuity or leeching plasma. You could go one or the other. Even Karazim has talents to where he could get vision. It's not something you would necessarily
Foresight,
even with the Tassadar.
Yeah.
But I wonder if Dignitas, the good thing is about the Jabronis, they know what's going on. They studied, they watched, they know what's going on. So I like the fact that they've drafted accordingly, and they actually have enough damage between Kael'thas and Kerrigan to wreak havoc.
Yeah, do we see Zeratul anyway? No, Illidan is going to be coming out. All right then.
Illidan, I mean, he basically acts sometimes as a pseudo-warrior, you know, pulling a lot of attraction onto himself. I don't see too many hardcore Illidan encounters here on the side of Jabronis.
I think that overall they just kind of, they wanted to go Zeratul. I feel like they did want to go Zeratul, but they look at the opposing draft and they're like, maybe they are prepared. Maybe they are ready for something like that.
I mean, when Illidan goes deep, you know, and Divine Shield's going to be there here to protect him. Ring of Frost has so much potential against this composition of the Jabronis. Imagine Kerrigan jumps forward, a big Ring of Frost lands, Welling Arrow together, like the blow-up potential is huge in terms of those heroics here from Dignitas.
So maybe they were prepared for Zeratul, but they weren't prepared for Illidan.
Oh my God, somebody get this guy on stage here. But,
I'll go.
Your work is done here.
No, but also the Wailing Arrow, Todd, is a very good point you raised there, because if you manage to silence someone like Tassadar and Karazim at the same time, then Illidan's going to wreak havoc at the backline.
That's the thing, is like, you have to, Illidan can wreak havoc, but that silence is only so long, and Illidan takes a little bit longer to do work. And so it always makes me question things like that. But when you have Jaina, you have the burst damage potential, I think, is what you need when you run with Illidan.
All right, guys, very cool looking drafts here for sure. Of course, the fight between Dignitas and the Jabronis is still going on, and Gilly and Grubby are going to take us to game number 3.
What a thrilling draft between these two. Team Dignitas versus the Jabronis. We've got Dignitas here on the right side with Arthas being played by Alex the Pro G. Bakery on Uther, JPL on Illidan, Snitch on Savannahs, and Mene rounding out the team on Jaina.
And in the blue, we'll have Crosby playing Kael'thas, Ethernal on Kerrigan, and Karzim played by Linked, Decozoid playing Tassadar, and ETC played by Danatan. That is the Jabronis.
And it's the third game of the semifinals at the ESL Gamescom Heroes of the Storm World Championship regional qualifier number 2 for another
Europe?
chance of a BlizzCon ticket here in Europe. And I feel like Jabronis, they anticipated that Zeratul 5th pick, forcing the Illidan. And what do you think about that, Gilly?
Well, the common theme always with Team Dignitas and Illidan is that he is an Achilles heel for them. He, for a long time, was first banned by them, even though that was traditionally the second ban position because they couldn't deal with him. That was a time when nobody really wanted to deal with him, and they couldn't play him. At Valencia, they stopped doing that. They picked him once, but they didn't win with him. But that was Snitch playing Illidan, and this time is different. We're going to have JPL playing him, and everyone knows of the prowess of JPL. So I'm excited to see how this will work for them, but it is very interesting for Team Dignitas. And what I like is you and I actually talked about, since these teams draft so similarly, we said if this series starts to go into later games,
it's going to take on a life of its own.
Exactly.
There's going to be some new picks, and Illidan definitely is one of them. Dignitas solved their weakness against Illidan in the previous tournament, picking Lily against Illidan as well, but now they're actually choosing it. And if there was ever someone I would pick on a hero that he doesn't play a lot, JPL probably has got to be your man. Jabronis got a solid team here. Illidan is a good pick in theory against Jabronis, despite the stunts, because he thrives against double support comps.
That was a very quick kill on Eternal. They want to try to follow this up too. JPL starting to put some damage on Kael'thas, but it will just be first blood for now for Team Dignitas. As we're starting to gear up, get ready for the first Shrine phase, teams looking at making sure that the waves are cleared. They're getting closer to level 4, having a talent advantage over their team for that first Shrine.
And that is indeed why first kill does matter on this battleground, much more than on many other battlegrounds. Team Dignitas, just to reiterate once again why Illidan is good against double support. As Jayhao on the analysis desk was mentioning, he doesn't do his dirty work too fast. It's the fact that he is like an annoying fly on a hot summer day. He doesn't go away, he keeps coming back, and it's hard to catch him. What generally catches Illidan? It's warriors with crowd control abilities, or it's damage dealers who can burst him down double fast. Double support comp with Kharazim and Tassadar, both who have no crowd control effects almost, is much more difficult. So let's see how that's going to work out. For now, Alex the Pro G is going to fall to Eternal's Ravage there, finishing him off.
I was excited to see JPL's Illidan, but equally excited to see Eternal on Kerrigan. We have not had a lot of Kerrigan play at this tournament because her best Battleground Infernal Shrines we often have her banned out on, but I love seeing Eternal here on Kerrigan because I've seen him in the past, really fun to watch, but they will have to constantly be aware of Sylvanas and try to make sure that they focus on getting the Shrines, that is the Jabronis, so that Team Dignitas can't get more out of a Punisher because of Sylvanas' ability to turn off structures.
Yeah, definitely true. You don't want that floodgate to open with Sylvanas and the Punisher against you. Was advantageous for Jabronis to have first ban, first pick here. By removing Falstad, they actually removed the third priority ban. The first two being Tyrael and Kerrigan. Team Dignitas had to make a tough choice between the two. One of the beautiful things about Kerrigan on this map is she can jump in with reckless abandon, following the Punisher with very little fear of her own life, even if the gate is still up, because the Punisher is such a disruptive force.
And Grubby, that is a second kill on Alex the Pro G by Eternal, but Team Dignitas are trying to counter the experience gained from this Punisher and that kill by counter pushing in the bottom lane with Sylvanas and Illidan. Tassadar has been doing what he can to shield structures to slow them down, but it still has meant that Team Dignitas is right behind Jabronis in experience.
Yeah, very much so. They tried to get 2 towers, only got 1 due to indeed Tassadar's exploits. And now a small lead here for Jabronis, 2-1 takedowns. A camp taken by Dignitas as the teams try to plot their next plan to catch the opponent off guard. Here we see the captain of Team Dignitas, Bakery, the support Prodigy. Team formed around him and has been fairly stable for a long time now. Definitely one of the favorites. There is Snitch, who is the damage and flex player for Team Dignitas. He's playing Sylvanas right now.
That would be a very important hero for them. There comes the pull again, a combo from Kerrigan. Snitch is in trouble though and gets pushed away from the team. It's Alex though who will be the target. Again, being across the team, but slowing people down. The counter kill still takes him out, but just like that, Kerrigan goes down too. This time, although Arthas was far forward, it took long enough to take him down that Team Dignitas were able to get 2 kills to make that 3 kills.
The body blocks, 4 kills. There was no escape point there for Kharazim. And this is why I love melee assassin games, Gilly. 1 on each side is sure to ensure fireworks as Dignitas clinches back the takedowns, a 4-for-1 over their own Impaler camp, which, by the way, they also got. That's what really matters, isn't it?
Not sure about that one this time. Shrine starting, it will be in the bottom shrine.
Oh, yeah, Jabronis got it, yeah. Not worth.
Not for 4, definitely not. That has put Jabronis behind in experience, but not too far so. And they can still contest around this shrine, getting a good setup around this too. The good thing is, as the panel mentioned, Kerrigan, Tassadar, and Kael'thas all very good at clearing out a shrine quickly, which is why we saw them get that first Punisher.
Now we see 15 Skeleton lead already. They're moving in aggressively on Alex the Pro G. Good cleanse by Bakery. as JPL kind of feigns going in. He jumps in with the sweeping grasp, then goes out with the dive. But now JPL takes massive amounts of damage, 100 life, 65 in the Holy Light, healed by Bakery.
Linked, though, has been caught. Alex, the Pro G, with a great Howling Blast as he tries to run through the choke, but Eternal in for the save, along with Danatan. They take out Uther. Uther still be healing up for a little Ring of Frost.
Level 10 has been reached. Ring of Frost gets ETC. Danatan there looking as his team gets engaged upon.
And Metamorphosis means the end of Kerrigan to Danatan now, just trying to retreat all of the Jabronis, trying to retreat. They only need one more. They still get the Punisher, but they will lose ETC as well.
Beautiful Frostbolt by Mena, the Eye of the Tiger, finishes off ETC, who may have been able to get away from JPL's Illidan clutches. Now Team Dignitas, they have to defend the Punisher, but you know, an unsupported Punisher, it gets maybe half a tower at most.
Especially early on here in this early game, and Team Dignitas feeling fine about that because they have gotten so far ahead now with these two big amounts of kills. They've gotten a full level ahead even before Jabronis can get heroic abilities. And a lot of heroic abilities used there. I was wondering if maybe we get the hunt, but as you pointed out, it's a little too scary.
There's so many stuns that Metamorphosis, it doesn't provide the attack speed bonus anymore. It does give you a lot of bonus health if you land it on people and a small amount of damage. But the huge component of Metamorphosis is dodging a set of damage or stun abilities right before they come in. Seven-sided strike, of course, as you pointed out, is the usual pick when you have Tassadar, just so you don't anti-synergize against Divine Palm. Divine Palm needs a target to basically die, and then it brings them back with the healing. Tassadar can really mess up your heroics, or seven-sided.
That's something that Team Dignitas will have to stay aware of, is if someone gets caught away, like with a mosh pit or a force wall from the team, and nobody can get there in time, Uther will have to be there. Maybe they can use it to bait out the Divine Shield from Uther.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's a short cooldown, right?
Right. And then from there, start to win the team fight.
You can also try to have two people hit in the seven-sided strike, so that if one happens to get Divine Shielded, the other one will take the full brunt of the force of the flurry of fist fights by Karazim. And for now, Dignitas's comp and team play is working out as they have a level lead.
The Jabronis have been focusing on getting some of the mercenary camps, even stealing these Khazra away from Team Dignitas, who see that there are some of Jabronis off the battleground and know that either they're setting up a trap or they're focusing on getting some mercenary camps, as they have a good double push in the mid, but they weren't in all of the lanes soaking for a little bit, and they don't have 13. And a Shrine is starting, it's active now, and Team Dignitas have all the time in the world to get up there. They want to get up there and be able to claim it before they have to get into that
Jabronis has
fight.
no time at all. They're too far away from level 13 to kind of do the half attempted fight in the top Shrine. So I feel like maybe they should group up, try to get a rotation and attack middle or bottom forward. Or they try to have a 5v3 immediately before Jaina and Sylvanas turn up, and that's what they're doing here. Eternal, they've chosen their target. JPL, is he going to be able to combo him? Eternal there goes with the sweeping grasp stun on Arthas, but he gets the Divine Shield.
Oh, there's a Ring of Frost too. ETC has already been taken out, and they wanted to get Alex taken down, but he still had Army of the Dead to keep himself alive. Everyone from Team Dignitas now showing up, and the Jabronis will have to leave. They've lost 2 more people. And Team Dignitas finally should be able to get a Shrine that this time will push alongside Sylvanas.
The worst nightmares of Jabronis is coming into fruition as Dignitas pauses as we can elaborate. Thank you for that moment here, this respite, as we can explain what's about to happen. No doubt technical issues. Our amazing referee and admin is already on site there to try and see what happens. A live competition always has a chance of having these kind of things happen. So, of course, we need to fix these things as we try to figure out what's going on. In the meantime, Gilly, the worst nightmare. Sylvanas pushing with the Punisher, keeping that Punisher at full life, getting the first fort is so scary. Normally, Punisher versus Fort, there's both an attacker's and a defender's advantage. Because the Punisher has stuns or damage or roots, but then there's also a Fort and a healing fountain, which can kind of help defend. But when you have Sylvanas, it becomes a full attacker's advantage. And you're down a talent as the defender, it's really hard to defend.
especially when there are 2 people down for the Jabronis at this point.
Definitely.
Likely we're going to see them sit back and try to bait the Punisher over the keep wall, which is not at all ideal. You would love to be baiting it over the fort wall, but you don't get that advantage because Sylvanas is there for the other team.
Yeah, just like in Helm's Deep, they would have to fall back to their inner rampart walls, giving up the majority of the city until help arrives. A very desperate straits there for the defender. And Gilly, it's very easy to confirm that a decision was wrong in hindsight. And just because a conclusion comes out of a decision doesn't mean it's wrong, even if it went badly. It could be that Jabronis was taking this fight with a 40% win chance, which means that we have the higher probability winning out. But maybe that 40% was still better than the 30% of just straight away giving away the Punisher and going to the mid and bottom. But how were those percentages really? Do you think that the Jabronis made a mistake trying to move in before Jaina and Sylvanas arrives? Should they have gone to the bottom, or did they do the right thing to try and prevent a Punisher with Sylvanas?
It almost worked, but they had caught Alex. They knew that it was likely Alex was going to be up there, just based on where everyone else was. And they knew that as Arthas, he can die pretty quickly. They have 7-sided strike. They have tools to take him down fast. They went in with Mosh Pit, but there was a cleanse on him that let him use Army of the Dead to start healing himself up, and that plus a support there meant that he could sustain and survive through that long enough for Jaina to get there, drop Ring of Frost, and then start taking down Kerrigan and ETC.
So perhaps the decision to go there was not wrong, but using everything on Arthas when the people that are missing is not Uther. Uther is there. He can Divine Shield or Cleanse. Maybe that one is just blowing a little bit too much on Arthas. Trying to take him down. It's okay to focus him. Illidan is too mobile to try and sweeping grasp stun combo. They go for Arthas, but they actually risk it all. Maybe too much. Maybe too eager when they see a target to just go for it.
It's definitely an interesting decision to see, knowing that they have taken a fight down that same talent tier versus Dignitas before. They won the boss fight on Tomb, 12 versus 13.
Similar location, it's in the north also.
Maybe they're the kings of the north. Who knows? But
they want to be.
This time it didn't work out for them, and now they're going to be further behind for the defense of this. They should still, 13, if they can send someone out maybe, have that soon enough. Maybe they can defend the keep, but again, further behind as the structures that Dignitas will take down is going to get them a lot of experience.
So definitely nothing decided yet. Team Dignitas looks to be slightly in the lead here of the ESL Gamescom second regional of the fall season. Of course, the most important regional, as this one qualifies you for BlizzCon if you take the first place. And if you take second, for example, behind Team Dignitas, you can still play Fnatic for the second place, who won second place in the previous regional. So the second places can meet to finally decide who is the second spot, if that's how it plays out. But of course, it's not just that. This is a European championship in its own right. The bragging right to be the European champion all the way up to BlizzCon is definitely a very big honor.
You could look at the 2 semifinals and think, well, maybe the guys on the other side have it a little bit easier because you don't have to go up against Team Dignitas. But then that's also Fnatic versus Misfits.
Remains to be proven. Who knows what happens in the finals, right?
Those teams know each other very well, and both are fighting for their lives, for likely the BlizzCon spot, depending on how this event goes, this particular semifinal goes. And so maybe not so cut and dry which one is the nicer one to be in.
Yeah, I mean, this always remains to be seen, and pretty much it's debatable all the way until the end of the day. You were mentioning they were fighting for their lives. Literally not, but I have to tell you, it often feels that way. When you pour everything, your youth, your practice time, you put all your passion into a project like this, it often feels like it is indeed survival, perhaps of your career, of your pride, of your dreams. And so this kind of thing means a lot for these players.
Especially here. We have had 3 global championships, but this is the final one. This is fall, and this means BlizzCon. And BlizzCon is just a little bit higher than the other ones.
Quite a bit.
In prestige, in prestige and of course, in prize money too.
Sure, and you know what? Even going to BlizzCon and losing, I think 99% of the people who are in this crowd would love to do that, because normally losing means walking around between the event and the hotel and whatever city you find yourself in, and maybe a bit of tourism. But if you get eliminated on day one at BlizzCon, you're in Nerd Valhalla. There's so many cool things to do there. So just even going there, of course you want to win, Gilly. But just being there and losing is pretty damn amazing.
It is really amazing. As someone who has been to BlizzCon, I can totally agree. But getting back to this game that we have, Jabronis and Team Dignitas are tied up 1-1, and we're on Infernal Shrines. And Dignitas are ahead and about to be more so, because they've just picked up a Punisher and they have Sylvanas. What do you think that the Jabronis, the right play will be here and moving forward in the game?
They still have 3 forts and 3 keeps. They've lost this one. One very important thing, which a lot of people struggle with, is to accept sunken costs, to cut your losses and to just rally behind what you still have going for you. There's many different kinds of advantages in these games. There's what draft you have, power spikes at various different points, doing the unexpected, and also, of course, having the actual level and siege lead. What Jabronis has right now is still a very powerful deletion composition. A lot of stuns, they can move in very fast, do a lot of damage, and they've got vision with Tassadar. They can try to set a trap, they can give up the top fort almost certainly, and then try to hold at their keep. And from that moment onwards, they will have to play some kind of catch-up game. Now, not a lot of people know how to play a catch-up game generally on the ladder, but pretty much you have to try and surprise your opponent while not taking disadvantageous fights. And it seems difficult, because almost every fight is disadvantageous, which is why you see just special map movement, being where the opponent doesn't expect you to be. And also, you can just wait until the late game. There is no greater equalizer than getting to level 20. And we'll see exactly what Jabronis chooses to decide here as all the players are ready again. We're back into the game, ladies and gentlemen.
Here we go, and somebody has been caught here. It's Tassadar, does not have Prescience, is not 13. So not starting out this defense versus Sylvanas versus a Punisher on the best of terms. 20 seconds without Tassadar. And I'm wondering why Tassadar maybe was up so far, knowing that it was Sylvanas with Punisher.
Yeah, not exactly sure why. I'm just glad the issues have been satisfactorily resolved and the game is back on its way here. Team Dignitas choosing, by the way, not to push with the top Punisher, and I've seen this move before. To be honest, it confuses me a little bit. You've got Sylvanas, you can push with the Punisher, you can go to the top keep, but instead Dignitas has chosen to attack the more fortified middle fort, getting just the wall, not the fort, and perhaps it's all about safety. I imagine if you push in at the top, even though you've got the whole Black Arrow Punisher thing, they're afraid that Kerrigan flanks them. They don't want to allow any opponent at their flank.
Particularly, too, because there was a narrow window where the Jabronis had 13 and Team Dignitas had not yet picked up 16.
Right.
So why even give them the opportunity to get a fight that they want to be taking? Now they can get aggressive. Now they have 16 to 13.
It's that kind of weird moment where you might even run from an opponent 3 levels up if you're 19v16, just because you want to get your 20 first. It's saving your lead, basically. That's what Team Dignitas seems to be doing here, playing it very safe against an opponent they very clearly respect.
Jabronis have saved their fort, but still are 2 levels down. And Eternal wanted to go in. They forced Sylvanas to Haunting Wave out and for Uther to Cleanser, but still Team Dignitas has not given Jabronis the chance to get the picks that they want that you talked about, to get comeback experience. When you're behind, you get more experience from those things. And so they will be looking to do that, but also making sure they're staying in lanes. Tassadar in bottom, Kael'thas pushing top, getting experience as fast as possible for the next Shrine phase and for 16.
Now look at that, Dignitas saving his deep shift, not using it yet against menace damage because he knows he might get flanked and he might still need that cooldown. Now, however, Prescience goes up and already gets taken down. Even Tassadar can be taken down by the concerted efforts of many.
16 not here, Tassadar gone for 30 seconds, and a Shrine is activating soon. nice thing, small nice thing for the Jabronis is it's in the mid where they have the remaining fort. But it's still Sylvanas plus a Punisher, and I'm wondering if we're going to see them try to go again for a fight, even being down like we saw in the last Shrine.
I'm just reconsidering that final pick there from Jabronis. I've picked a second support against an Illidan comp before on the ladder, and I felt bad the entire day because there's kind of this rule of thumb not to have double support against Illidan. Of course, the Illidan pick was the pre-last pick. Huh? And it just seems like, yeah, it's really difficult for them. A very smart choice by Dignitas, and it's working out for them.
Team Dignitas now, with the way they've been able to win fights, have done this great thing that you can do on Infernal Shrines where every time a shrine pops up, you have a talent advantage. Jabronis now have 16, but it's too late to win the shrine, that they have to use it to defend. Sylvanas is going to push in. This time, Team Dignitas want to take down these towers and go with the Punisher. But 16 is here, so once the Punisher goes down, the Jabronis can try, as long as they have everybody to jump in and get a fight. They just have to get through this little bit where Dignitas are pushing in alongside the Punisher.
I'm waiting to see when Snitch uses the Wailing Arrow. For now, using a Halting Wave to get away from Eternal on the Kerrigan. No initiation fight attempt here by Dignitas. JPL uses friend or foe to get away. Eternal would love to get a combo here on someone, but Illidan dodges it. Even got cleansed by Bakery just in case. And a full rout from Dignitas.
It was a great disengage. The perfect time, knowing when to get out of there.
Oh, but look at this, Gilly. Look at this. There's 1 point of contention. Both teams know it. And the Jabronis, they want to get something out of this. But Dignitas, they aren't giving it to them. It's the easiest thing in the world to say, let's get the camp on our own side and feel safe in that. But they know Jabronis is out for blood. Now the combo on Illidan, Divine Shield goes down immediately. Illidan jumps in, even though Snitch Sylvanas is at the bottom lane.
Eternal is so low. Getting into a fight for Kerrigan is very scary. She's going to jump back in on Bakery, but with Remorseless Winter, if she stays in Frozen Tempest too long, she gets rooted. And speaking of roots, this Ring of Frost, but Uther drops. Kerrigan goes down, as does Arthas and Kael'thas. It's a 2 for 2. Still trying to make it through this, but the Blizzard is good. Taking out ETC, JPL, and Mene. Still on the hunt for Linked, body blocking him, but he jumps in. Cone of Cold wrecks him. Decozoid, the only person left for the Jabronis, and Dignitas not giving up. Snitch, the meantime, sneaking this keep.
That's a 4v5 by Dignitas with 2 levels up. Very well played there by them. They lose 2, they kill 4. And they even let Tassadar go because it just takes too long. Snitch immediately goes to the mid keep. A 4v5, Gilly.
Yeah.
Mosh Pit was up. And he used it on a single target, but it's not very good when both your damage dealers are already down. We had 2 supports attacking an Illidan who is being mosh pitted.
And Kerrigan started that fight low in health.
30%.
Right
yeah.
off from the beginning.
No burst heals, there's just the small heal from Karazim and the significant shield from Tassadar, but it was not a full HP fight for sure.
ETC picked up Imposing Presence, hoping maybe to slow down the auto attacks for Illidan, but it requires him to be damaged by him, and they were focusing hard on Kerrigan at the beginning of that fight.
I think Imposing Presence also activates out of the Immolation from Illidan, so he just needs to be nearby and he'll slow Illidan's attack already, which is pretty good. It means he has to position quite defensively. Team Dignitas is finding themselves in basically the scariest shrine to start with. There is a newcomer's advantage because you're kind of like stuck in this cubbyhole here. Very aware of it. Mene, Snitch starting to move away, very wisely going to rotate towards the left because Eternal's threat is highest on Mene.
Starting to jump into, building up the damage there.
Oh, the flank across me! Ring of Frost deletion!
They have Cleanland Danitin still trying to move in, but he's going to get taken down just as he hits for a mosh pit. Karazim's got 2, and so fast Team Dignitas eliminate everyone but Tass Tassadar from the Jabronis, and that will be game. They had mercenary camps pushing too, but it was a short fight. It didn't really get all that much out of it.
No, Illidan may not do his dirty work in 2 seconds, but Jaina certainly does. Many they're rotating around the left side, finding an angle on Kel'Thas, Ring of Frost, deletion in just a second, and Team Dignitas confidently secures the 3rd game of this series, making it 2-1.
Only 1 game away from moving on to the grand finals once again is Team Dignitas taking out the Jabronis, even with the fear of Kerrigan on her home territory, Infernal Shrines. Well, it's not the Kapulu sector, but in Heroes of the Storm, a great place for Kerrigan. Not fearing that, having the right composition, the right play, and good calls, sending Stitch to the bottom, knowing that they could fight 4 versus 5 in top. Risky pay, but really paid off that they were able to get a keep there.
Yeah, of course, it was near their own tower, so it was a 4v5, but in a good location. But it really baffles me that you can, at that point in the game, they've been grouping a lot as 5, that at that point they feel confident enough to go 4-1, snitch in the bottom, and just take that fight. It's incredible, and I did expect after the 2nd game, the way that Jabronis lost Tomb the Spider Queen from basically an advantageous position, that they would feel a little rattled. We talked about that a little bit.
Yes, we did.
They did not feel as strong here, both in terms of the draft as well as their play.
Well, we can only hope that in the next game they can get some calm for both the draft and the game. But guys, we're going to go back to our experts. What do you think of that game, Kendrick?
Thank you, Gilly and Grubby, and Dignitas is back. After struggling a little bit in the early stages of the series, they finally pulled ahead and lead 2-1. And guys, this was a very solid game by Dignitas. Let's be real. Those last team fights, they were really brutal and one-sided, especially the absence of Divine Palm on the side of Karzim, I think really cost the Jabronis at times.
Yeah, and it also felt like, to me, when I look at the drafts and I see a Karazim against an Uther, when you go 7-sided strike, you're almost guaranteed to run into the wall of Divine Shield. And we saw that multiple times during that. And it's even to the point where sometimes in the European scene, we saw them Karazim going up against an Uther, and then you would see even Transgression not be taken at level 20 and go for Epiphany, something that Shrimper used to do way back when.
Those Ring of Frost, it feels like they had no answers against them as well. Like that last big fight on the top right-hand side, the Ring of Frost was massive, hit pretty much everybody there that was there. So a lot of potential came from this heroic in particular, I think.
Yeah, Jaina continues to be a really key factor. Like in the team comps that she plays in, she really always has that crucial role of locking people down and bursting them down, especially with heroes like Illidan to follow up on.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. When you play with Illidan, you want to be able to get some burst damage somewhere to allow Illidan to be able to do what he does. If he draws too much attention, then you follow up with Jaina. If Jaina does damage, it gives something for Illidan to follow up on, and that's something that we saw, in, as you mentioned, those Ring of Frost, they landed, and Illidan got to do a lot of work the minute that landed.
Jo, you can actually keep talking and, you know, let us know what the replay consists of here.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things to where 7-sided strike went in and it did something. The problem is it didn't do a lot. It actually forced Uther in. The force wall here is actually really, really well done. 7-sided strike is out, but the Ring of Frost forced an all in from the composition, and then that's when everybody started to get blown out the mosh pit at the back. There's absolutely nobody to follow up on that, as you can see the damage. Now, Karazim obviously trying to make plays. He brings Tassadar back to Radiant Dash away, but it's too little too late. Jaina just blew him up. They were able to follow that. That was crazy, James.
For me, once again, Uther's Ghost MVP.
Yes.
Don't kill Uther fast. Just leave him alone. He's just going to heal everything, and it hurts.
I feel like I've said that more than one time in the last few days. Stop killing Uther first. He's still healing when he's dead.
But he's right there. He's asking for it. So. It's just so hard to say no.
Yeah, that's really like a good point there, Todd, actually. I mean, Uther is a melee support. You know, he is in the face of the enemy. So, you know, it's easier said than done. Sometimes you just got to focus
him out.
Yeah.
They're like, this is a good position. Force wall up. Let's get on top of him. Then all of a sudden, the Ring of Frost right on top of it. I think I saw Dread. He's like, hey, they baited him into the combo. And, you know, Karazim forced. He has to get in to be able to get those area heals. Throw down the Ring of Frost, and then it's all downhill from there. And that was tough.
I think it's like Palm. You know, Palm being used and people stopping to attack those heroes is something that's going to take time. But as time passes by, we're going to see more and more people finally start playing a little bit more right against that.
All right, and game number 4 here is going to take place on Towers of Doom, a very special battleground. The rules are a little bit different here. You just can't go for the core as is. You will have to use the objectives, like the altars, like the mercenaries, or the headless horsemen.
Do I write Arthur's down? No, yes. Oh, Vikings, never mind. We're back in Europe, boys.
I was going to say, they went a very untraditional... They had Abathur with Jaina yesterday.
Speaking of Abathur.
Speaking of Abathur, first pick Abathur for the Jabronis. How aggressive can an Abathur be when there's a Viking in every lane?
Yeah, it's not easy for him.
Definitely not easy, but Dignitas is a team that wasn't necessarily known for their Viking shenanigans, guys. Who's going to play it? Is it going to be Snitch?
Usually Snitch.
Right.
Yes, usually.
And Zeratul, wow.
Things are getting crazy right now.
Who's going to play it now?
Yeah, when these walls start coming down, Zeratul on this map rotating from one lane to another, Abathur's going to have to stay behind the gates.
Yep.
Right? He's not going to be able to do like really any aggressive.
Yeah, physical soaking.
It's going to be like, what can we do with him at level 10? Are they going to ban out a Greymane? Are they going to ban out a Kel'Thas? Or are we going to see another support ban? That's the question.
All right, guys, let's ask a really important question here. Has Alex actually ever played any other hero aside from Arthas in this tournament?
Probably not.
Maybe once or twice, but
he played
everybody
a
forgot about
He
those
played
games.
a really good Tyrael.
All right,
And he's been on the Auric from time to time.
Who's going to be great to add to Abathur here, though? Do they go for a Jaina to try to go for a copy?
Greymane's normally the go-to, which is why I wouldn't mind seeing it banned, but they're going to ban Illidan, who traditionally it's not his best map, but you do actually see quite a bit of it on this map for some reason.
And there is the Vikings, against which, you know, Illidan can do well.
Yeah?
I have notes and stuff here that we've prepared for all these teams. I'm just going to push them to the side right now.
This is definitely a little bit out of the ordinary here with the Vikings on the board. I mean, we also have Zeratul here, who is himself a good Viking hunter as well. So they certainly took a little bit of a countermeasure away from the Jabronis.
If they go Greymane, then what support would be best for this with the Jabronis?
I think you can be comfortable with anybody. When you got Zeratul, I mean, you just have to be able to... Whoever... I'm curious. They're obviously going to go support. I feel like they're going to go another strong assassin. I don't see them going anything other than that. Maybe... I mean, Zagara Sylvanas, potentially.
I wonder if
you can also go Jaina here.
Yeah, I was going to say... The
AoE damage against the Vikings, right? Double Jaina with Abathur.
And Jaina's been doing really well. Like, picture...
Whoa!
Tracer.
Whoa!
All right, Tracer's coming out.
Vorpal Blade is a beautiful thing to watch when he gets on Tracer.
Oh yeah, but it's a good map for Tracer in general because the distances between the bases are quite short. It's going to be past that follow-up to protect... Uh-oh, wait a minute. That's the lovely let's give Tracer everything comp.
That is E-Punk's style. I mean, E-Punk's was a team that is unfortunately no longer in the tournament, but they really made this style of play popular in the European scene.
But they need actual support, you think?
They tried it yesterday, and
it didn't work.
No.
So
or the day before.
2 days ago.
There was an all-in Tracer yesterday as well. I believe it might have been EE, but either way, it was not.
It was GIZ.
It was GIZ.
On
it was not very successful.
Yeah.
Dignitas with the Rhaegar pickup here. And then it feels like they might need a ranged damage dealer, right? At this point.
Again, I have notes, but I'm not looking at them.
They could do anything at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
who do they need something for? They need something for many. So
KT's open, Lunara's open.
Jaina is still there.
Jaina's
still there as well.
But like, how do you capture? I mean, Tassadar gets out. Muradin's going to be tough to kill. Tracer can always, blink away.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough, but the Wombo combo is gonna have to be on point if they elect to go that, which would be hard to see them not to go that. My question is, do you go solo Tassadar and you supplement that with Abathur onto the Tracer and then go another damage dealer here? It almost seems like they have to.
I was thinking something totally wild like a Dahaka for Viking hunting, but I don't think they would end up doing it. I'm not sure.
Right wing.
Tracer can already kind of do that.
Right wing.
All right.
I mean, that's the great thing about the Falstad ban from the very beginning, right? It allows these Vikings to have quite a lot of safety in that regard, and then taking the Zeratul away as well. What's left in the trio of good Viking hunters is Dahaka, but it doesn't really fit in this comp in regards to, do they want more damage, or are they just looking as Tracer to be the complete playmaker?
And Thrall actually gets picked up here, so they're going to have even more damage with this.
That is one crazy team comp here for the
I want to see
Jabronis.
Lost Vikings win rate on Towers of Doom. I feel like I always see them
Very high, I think.
Very, very high.
Like, whenever I get to play it, I never lose on this map because they can just carry. You just, it's one of the rare situations where a hero can extremely carry on a map, I would think.
Where does Thrall fit into this? Is it a matter of they plan on engaging onto the backline with Jaina? Is he going to try?
The problem is if they do that, there is control on the side of Dignitas. They do have Void Prism if they get into a bit of a bad situation, I suppose, later on down the line. But I know one thing for a fact is that Team Dignitas doesn't particularly enjoy playing against this comp with Tracer Abathur. I don't think anybody enjoys playing against this comp because it is the most annoying thing ever. Tracer is annoying on her own, never mind a Tessa and an Abathur actually helping her out, so it's going to be difficult.
There is some explosive potential too out of this comp. You know, the Tracer, if she reaches the backline, if she's got, you know, Sundering support, obviously Abathur and Tessa are going to be helping her a lot. She could do a lot of damage, but that Tracer's performance,
well, Jaina has
really hard
to deal with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Has talents to deal with Tracer getting that backline.
Right, exactly. And I think James brings up a very good point there as well, because the team comp that the Jabronis are rocking here is very hard to deal with, because it's very, you know, you can't just locate an Abathur. You just can't locate or lock down a Tracer that easily. It's really hard to have good communication there.
I think in the early game, if Tracer is just lurking and is just looking for Vikings here and there, a Viking is not going to get away from a Tracer 9 times out of 10. So you just kind of start picking them off here and there and hoping that you establish yourself a really nice early experience.
Especially if you ricochet later on.
Yeah, so you can be in a potentially good spot, I would say.
Definitely. And of course, guys, you can feel free to join the discussion online on Twitter. Of course, you can let us know if you think the Vikings are going to be able to pull it off, or if Tracer is the girl to cheer for here. Join the discussion, #HGC. That is the place to be, guys, and we're looking forward to reading your tweets, because believe it or not, we're actually checking Twitter quite frequently, right? And
all the time.
All the time, in fact. So
right
the castles are ready
now.
for game number 4. Gilly and Grubby, do your thing one more time.
A lot of people in the crowd here at the ESL arena at the Gamescom. People are standing, the seats are full. We are standing as well as the action is heating up here. And with a full crowd, we welcome Team Dignitas with Lost Vikings being played by Snitch, Mene on Jaina, JPL on Zeratul, Bakery on Rhaegar, and Alex the Prodigy on Arthas.
And with one game away from elimination and bringing in the distraction, the annoying composition, we have the Jabronis with Crosby playing Tracer, Tassadar played by Linked Abathur, played by Dikazoy, Thrall played by Eternal, and Danatan playing Muradin.
Everyone is out the gates. We just make a small mention here of how special these drafts are. Abathur has an experienced soaking mechanic. He will get more XP than all other heroes, and he can still aid the fight with Symbiote. Vikings, their team fight potential is far lower. They start to be used in fights generally from level 13 to 16 onwards. They can be pretty good in fights, but mostly they are far better at Abathur than soaking experience. In a direct engagement between these two teams, between Vikings and Abathur, Vikings definitely hold the upper hand. I'm an avid Vikings player myself, and every time I'm against an Abathur, I'm really, really pleased about it.
Right, both of the times, both of these compositions that you have, you would like to be taking long fights around altars to maximize the split soak from these heroes, but you're right, the Vikings are just going to do it better. The Jabronis trying to get an early kill on Alex the Pro G. They've been starting off a lot of these games trying to get those early kills on him, but Danatan will be the first to fall as Team Dignitas turn it around.
Alex the Prodigy has this giant target on his head. And that's how he's playing Arthas and Leoric, his two favorite warriors. 9 HP Abathur, Slug Life.
Wow.
No problem.
That is why it's scary to play Abathur versus Zeratul. He's never going to want to step out.
It's always risky against such a Zerg Hunter as Zeratul, who's also using the Zerg Hunter's skin, as far as I can tell. Yeah, basically, Alex the Prodigy, Arthas, this is how Arthas has been played since the beginning of time. Pretend to be killable, and then finally show your cards like, oh yeah, actually I'm not killable. I've got block, I've got coil, I've got this movement speed slows on you. And that kind of worries me to see Thrall here. Normally, if you look at the draft for Jabronis, it's a carbon copy of what makes an almost perfect draft with Abathur. Thrall, he can slow down the acquisition of the enemy altars with Chain Lightning. But when time is not on your side, you're going up against Vikings, you're losing XP rather than banking it up, Thrall's delaying mechanics don't hold as much value. Now, one altar for each side as they're trying to fight over the bottom altar. And this is really where Vikings are starting to come in. They're helping in the fight. And we've got one in the top lane, so XP is relatively even.
Well, Seratul and Tracer have also joined this fight after being up around the top altars, trading those out. Crosby doing what you want Tracer to do here. Try to distract. They've also stunned Alex, and he's got to move away. But Snitch from the side uses Baylog to stall out, or tries to stall out. It's not in time, though, and that will mean that Jabronis pick up 2 of the altars in this phase.
Very well played. Normally, Abathur can get free altars whenever the entire enemy team is preoccupied. Vikings fulfill the same role. To actually get ahead here is very important. And that kill on Eric that happened about a minute ago was really crucial in getting this altar. Eric, the #1 canceller of the opponent's altar, was not able to get in there. He was in the body bank. And it also meant that there was no XP advantage for Dignitas, as only one lane was being covered, the top lane. And Abathur was doing the same. So Jabronis taking a good lead here, while being down 1-2 in the best-of-5 series.
Besides Thrall being chosen for his ability to stall out the altars from being channeled with Chain Lightning and the Chain Lightning build, which he actually didn't go for. He picked up Block and Envenom.
I like that.
So I think, are we seeing him more as just trying to burst somebody down, maybe even Alex, since he can get Giant Killer at 13?
Yeah, I love this build for Thrall. The block offers a lot of self-sustain, not enough apparently in this one, as it doesn't protect you against Blizzard. Pulse Bomb misses there for Crosby, still secures the kill on JPL. Can he get away? Double blink. He's running with 160 alive. Crosby getting away with murder quite literally there.
Oh no, but they've turned on Linked instead and say, fine, we won't get Tracer, but we'll take down Tassadar instead. So he will still drop Pumpkin Sappers running in and deep tunnel away in the nick of time.
Full Frostbolt build from Enne, having reduced cooldown and also piercing the initial target and also doing it from further away. Great to cancel the tributes as well.
It's also it's good versus multiple melees too, because you can pierce through the first one in front, be able to hit Thrall too, and as you and I were talking about, slows are difficult for Thrall, very difficult.
Exactly. Thrall's entire mechanic is revolving around self-healing, much of which comes from doing his auto attacks with Wind Fury, and also Thrall, like Sonya, is a hero that relies on mobility. You don't even need to stun Thrall. Just slowing it is enough to remove much of his potency. And between Arthas, Rhaegar's Slow Totem, and Jaina's Chill, it will be difficult for him to get to the back line and try to wreak some havoc there. Cool build though, follow through and Venom and Block really allows him to get in there and deal some damage. And what we're looking out for here is for Jabronis to do a Sundering fight, and to start with Sundering, and maybe Thrall to get to Jaina.
There's no Abathur for a few more seconds, so fighting here without his symbiote to help. But it's a cool build that we see, as you mentioned, from Thrall, but also some change up for Tracer too. Tracer runs is one that we've seen quite a lot at level 1 with the reveal, but untouchable. Tracer will be trying to stack her attack damage, and that will be a stack right there.
Very nice play here. They're gonna get 2 takedowns here, stealing the enemy camp. They tried this in the previous game. It was the beginning of the end for the Jabronis. The fight over the Impaler dropped them further behind than anything else they did in the previous game. They got the Impaler, but they lost 4 heroes. Now, once again, with their trademark aggression, the 4th game in a row, they have not stepped down, they will not be intimidated, and this time they get away with 2 kills, and untouchable for Tracer is getting more and more stacked up. You see that yellow border at the south of the level 4 talent for Tracer. It's almost halfway there.
Right, every takedown she gets increases the basic attack damage by 2%, but she loses them all on death. But Tracer is an okay one to want to stack on because she has so many ways of getting away from trouble. Blink, recall, those will all help.
Oh, the trap, the trap. And they get Zeratul, stun root, and they get him, Jabronis!
Oh,
Sundering!
Sundering and Danitan jumping in, Ring of Frost trying to stop them, but doesn't hit either Eternal or Linked. Now they're jumping in for more. Bakery is low, Crosby doing what he can, doesn't quite take down Bakery, but they still find a kill in Arthas.
Well played by Jabronis, and maybe there's more to be gotten here. Diquazoy trying to move in with his Evolution Tracer. Bakery got away with 60 life, but still a kill was secured by Jabronis on Arthas.
They got Arthas. Tracer, remember, if she takes out Vikings, that counts. That counts as a stack.
They don't count as 1/4. It's a full stack.
That's a full stack.
And she's halfway there. 15% bonus auto attack damage, which synergizes so nicely with Leeching Plasma.
Oh.
JPL getting Abathur there.
Oh, there's another altar still left. One picked up by the Jabronis, and Team Dignitas are hesitant to let the Jabronis get the second one and further their lead in the core health. No Abathur for another 9 seconds, but as soon as he pops up, he can throw out a symbiote. Crosby chasing down Snitch, finds another stack for Untouchable.
Void Prison. Are we going to see the Ring of Frost? It's not ready yet. 8 seconds cooldown, so it was a defensive Void Prison. Pulse Round misses. Jabronis, they can't move in here, not through Arthas, certainly.
And there is a double Tracer leading the pack to causing all sorts of havoc. And Eric will
Poor
drop.
Eric.
These are starting to hurt. These rounds are really starting to hurt, Grummy.
Yeah. Very nicely to see how the game plan is working out for Jabronis. Despite going up against Vikings, they are out performing Dignitas. Sorry, had a bit of a brain lag there. Outperforming Dignitas on the altar acquisition. They're 8 HP ahead on the core.
Oh, Sundering from Eternal and JPL so close, 40 health. A heal from Baker at the last second. And Crosby not diving in too deep, realizing how important those stacks are that he has worked so hard to get. You know, when we were watching the draft, I referenced Greymane maybe because I love seeing stacking heroes versus the Lost Vikings. And that's something that specifically I saw E-Star do versus MVP Black right before the Summer Global Championship, but I completely forgot that Tracer can do it, and I love seeing this here.
And she can start it at level 4, much like the old Nova with Gathering Power. Such throwbacks. We were even quipping that Nova might make an entry here in this draft.
You were quipping that one.
Well, yeah, I have to admit, wishful thinking. But yeah, Tracer there, and having a lot of untouchable stacks already.
But Abathur,
quite too accurate with the pulse rounds though. Missed about 4 or 5 or so of them.
Yeah, and if they want to be able to burst down Alex up in the front, then they need that. They need that damage because Quantum Spike again was the pickup there. But they will have it up again pretty soon. Abathur's been getting taken out a lot.
Top death 3, the rest of his team has 1. Double altars here. They are just spawning. Donaton is going to try and stop JPL from capturing that one, but will get zoned out by Alex.
So they'll again trade out, but a trade is in favor of the Jabronis at this point. And left and right, the Vikings are falling. Almost full stacks.
Oh, the root and the pulse rounds. Quantum Spike on Bakery is down to 100 life, and there we go.
Rhaegar drops. Ringer Frost was in the back from Mene, but they only got Thrall, and Alex is not getting out of here. A force wall even to ensure that another kill for the Jabronis.
So well played there, the force wall, the body blocking of Tracer against Arthas. Is an assassin with 2,000 lives supposed to body block a 5,000 HP tank?
You are if you're Tracer, apparently.
So sick. Very nice game. We saw this before from Jabronis. The Tracer gameplay nearly worked on Towers of Doom. Very special Abathur build there with the regenerative microbes and the sustained carapace, increasing the shield amount, giving healing during the shield, and really making Tracer a monster.
And adding Soma Transference to it too, a talent that in the old supporting Abathur build that we still see a lot with auto attackers with Adrenal Overload, you would put Soma Transference with it, but this is the new other support Abathur build that you can have because of the changes that came in for him with the last big patch.
I didn't think the diversity of talents was going to work out for him, but here we have a team, an upstart, making it into top 4 and using that talent route actually super effectively, making Tracer so difficult to take down. So cool. Sometimes talents can be sleeper talents. It only takes one team to popularize them and suddenly it's all over.
Oh, Mene gets hit! They have to use Cleanse and Ancestor Healing to bail him out. They have this fort, it is for them, and Pumpkin Sappers, 2 camps full.
Mene again, he's at the front, he gets taken down.
big Ring of Frost though, and Tracer's taken out. That is resetting up the stacks. That's huge for Team Dignitas.
Yeah, that's huger than huge. That's gargantuan, enormous. A trade that many would love to take anytime. She was at full stacks. 30% bonus damage on her auto attack.
They really wanted to escort these pumpkins in. They're still trying, but
There's 6.
Dignitas.
There's still 6. Alex, he's gonna pay for it with his life, or is he? Void Prison is there.
Void Prison hits a few. They've used Alex's Frozen Tempest to slow down and do a lot of area damage to these, but they're doing everything to save the Danaton.
Jumping in the cannon line, Danaton. Meantime, more sappers are gonna pumpkin their way onto the enemy core. What a tight moment there. You're not supposed to fight in that cannon range, Gilly.
No, I'm well aware.
But I don't think Danaton knows that. And he got away, so he still doesn't know it.
Doesn't know or doesn't care.
Yeah, doesn't care. And why should he? He's Murden. He's got Avatar.
Murden with Avatar and an Avatar hat.
Basically unkillable.
Level 16 for both teams, and the craziness has slowed down a little, but the Jabronis are going for a risky play. They're trying to pick up this boss. Dignitas are aware of it. Alex the Pro G sees it. The rest are moving up to get into position. There's no Void Prison though. This is why we're seeing them do this.
But look at the mobility of the Jabronis. They immediately disengage. Menno once again getting caught. Ring of Frost right before he gets taken out in Bakery. Should he have done that final bite? It doesn't look like it. Dignitas in disarray as Jabronis is taking over control of this game. They started the boss as a bait.
They did.
Come and take us. It took them only 1 second to see Arthas look at the score screen, knowing everyone on Dignitas is up, and immediately, bam, they turned around. They used the boss as a method, a tool to reel in the opponent and take them down.
This game is not over yet, but looking better and better for the Jabronis. They just need to stay focused at this point.
Yes.
They can't get too hyped, knowing that they could tie this up versus Team Dignitas in the semifinals of Gamescom. That could be the one thing that takes them down at this point, because the fights are looking good for them. They have to stack back up. Dignitas took down the stacks for Tracer, but again, there's Vikings. There's plenty of targets to build that back up.
Exactly. And they already got a few out of that fight. Now, let's look at the altar timing. 5 seconds left as a Viking goes down. 5 seconds left, and it'll take another 7 seconds for Ring of Frost to come back up, and 25 for Ancestral. All heroics are available for Jabronis. So this is a good fight for them. Dignitas needs to buy 20 seconds of time, or they will not be able to save someone with Ancestral. Or they can just go full aggressive, get a Ring of Frost VP combination. There we go with the... What?
It's only a Murden. He jumps up, jumps down, and that is Ring of Frost hitting him, but he's staying strong. Arthas taken out by the double Tracer, and Crosby still fully healthy even as the ultimate evolution ends. Another altar for the Jabronis.
Dignitas was fully split there. Arthas by himself at the top, and everything being used on a jumping Murden. I can safely tell you, I've never seen a VP on a single flying Murden to then Ring of Frost him into the ground at the spot.
Oh, Deagle, no!
Oh, you think you're safe.
Like
You think you're safe. And that is number 4. Let's keep counting, ladies and gentlemen.
If only Zeratol could stack off of Avatar kills.
Yeah, of course he could have gone for Gathering Power, but he instead went for Vorpal Blade.
Yeah.
A very crucial talent that allows you to follow Tracer through time and go to her new position after she uses Recall.
Looking at stacks, Tracer about a third of the way through Untouchable, again, slowly building up, but level 20 is here for the Jabronis, and a lot of talents to help them out. Total Recall, making sure that Tracer may not lose those very important stacks this time, but Hive Mind too. So now that supporting that we had for the Carapace target, now there's 2.
Hive Mind is so sick. One of the strongest level 20 Storm tier talents, don't you think?
Yes, I absolutely agree.
Meantime, level 20 has been reached for Team Dignitas. They can actually move forward confidently at the top. They're going to kill a fort, which means that Jabronis has to answer in kind. I thought so, maybe not. I thought they were going to maybe kill the bottom fort. But they're instead going to get the pumpkins, which will move down, rotate to the bottom, and attack the bottom fort. Now, double altars. There is a potential for Jabronis to win right here if they get both. Even though they've got only 2 forts, that's 3 plus 3 is 6.
The caster math sounds right, Grubby. They're escorting pumpkins in. They wanted to trade out, but Crosby is low.
He recalls back to Jaina, uses the pulse run, she uses ice block, stays alive, Ring of Frost!
Great hits! They've already lost one! Tracer goes down
Massive!
two! Tracer and Tassadar down! Void Prison on Thrall! Rhaegar's there too! The Frostbolt not quite connecting in time for the Void Prison to be done, but Eternal still not getting out of this. Just wanted to trade out kills with Mene. But with 3 people down, Team Dignitas will be able to get these 2 altars.
Yeah, rather than using Bolt of the Storm at a futile attempt to get away, he showed why he's called an Orc, the War Chief of the Horde. Thrall jumping in on Jaina, knowing she has probably not got an ice block, and there we go. That's 10 cannonballs on the Jabronis core, and this game is right open again. I'm going to take a look at the cooldown of the boss. It's 1 minute away. Not enough to take it and capitalize here. But what Dignitas can do is take fort after fort. They've got 5 against 1. Once they take down this one, it'll still be 5 against 1 because the top one is getting taken out by Donatan. That is huge. It will take a very long time for Jabronis to take those back and possibly set up Dignitas really well for the next altar phase.
Losing Tassadar so early in the fight there was such a blow to the Jabronis.
It was a difficult position.
It was.
The Ring of Frost, even if it didn't root everyone, it slowed everyone.
And the recall position too.
Yes.
You hit recall, and it takes you back a few seconds, but when that few seconds ago was you sitting in the middle of your opponent's team, not the greatest option, but that's what he had to do. He had to use recall. They can hope to try to get some kills right here. Make it so they can start some staggered deaths for Team Dignitas, knowing that Void Prison still down for a few more seconds, but everyone from Team Dignitas, they disengage. They know that the Jabronis have to clean up their base. They can't continue to let Team Dignitas own all of these bell towers.
Yeah, they kind of made a big sacrifice there, not going for a fort immediately, trying to get that fight. And I think it was smart, but it does mean that there's even more time where they don't have that yet. And I think the next altar is going to get announced anywhere in the next 10 to 20 seconds.
This is where the Vikings are having huge gains for Team Dignitas. Keeping the lanes pushed up to these bell towers, bribing away pumpkin sappers in the top, that's where they had the one bell tower. He's going to run them right into it too.
Yeah, and he's got Merc Lord, so it's going to do more damage. If we look at the top fort now, let's see how much damage they do. This is massive. This 75% from triple pumpkins. So now he's going to get that fort, which means that there's more value for the bottom lane where the fight is about to break out here. This means a 3 HP on the opponent's core for Jabronis and 5 for Dignitas. So this is a chance for Dignitas to really get back into it.
But if the Jabronis can pick this up, even if it only ends up being 3 shots, the boss is available.
Oh, the total recall having value there, going from 10% life to full. Ancestral's out. Dignitas is in trouble. They've used all their heroics. We've still got Avatar available. We've got pulse rounds. But the Void Prison, Ring of Frost is going out.
Oh, Tracer's blown up. Tassidar's low too. Murden barely staying alive, but not for long. Even with shielding, he will go down. There's so many bodies from Team Dignitas with the Vikings too. There was no way to get through that. Thrall is out. Tassidar's down. JPL, a huge sigh of relief.
Tassadar there moving in for the final kill on Mene, as he had Survivor's Guilt and was unable to live with the fact that he went through that team fight. But that was a beautiful Void Prison Ring of Frost combination on Tracer. Could not even press any of her buttons.
No.
And of course she had already used Recall, so she only had Blink. And this is exactly what Dignitas needed. Once they get this fort, the way this map works, it's going to start firing shots at the opponent's core at a rate of about 1 per 9 seconds, I believe. And there goes the first one. That skull is going to land on the core. And of course, they waited until this moment to capture the bottom altar, which means 7 shots. There we go.
A perfect play off of this team wipe. 3 health left. There comes one.
And that's
the rest from the boss, Team Dignitas.
GG, Dignitas will be moving forward 3-1 against the Jabronis, securing their place in the finals, Gilly.
But I am so amazed too by the Jabronis, how well they played in this, especially people not really knowing if they would even make it to the semifinals, but Team Dignitas proving that they are able to withstand anything here, Grubby, to get back to the grand finals, 1 step away from winning yet another European regional.
Very well played by Dignitas and Jabronis alike. A name that will continue to ring into the history of Heroes of the Storm, they did wonderfully here. Managed to go into top 4 with 3 of the favorites of Europe, Fnatic, Dignitas, and Misfits, but will be unable to find themselves vying for that BlizzCon ticket.
You can see the members of Team Dignitas shaking hands, got to be feeling very confident after making it through what was an annoying composition to deal with, a Tracer. We could see the sigh of relief from JPL at the end when they were finally able to get that decisive team wipe.
Yeah, and that shows how good of a game it was. Let's hear what Snitch from Team Dignitas has to say about it with our lovely host, Paul.
Thank you very much, yes. First off, congratulations. Did you think when you came in this morning that was going to be quite as hard as it was?
We gained a lot of respect for Jabronis throughout the tournament. I think we beat them a lot. They beat a lot of teams that we didn't expect them to beat. Like, we thought Excelente would go a lot further. So we definitely came in with the mindset of, this isn't a free win. This is going to be a little more difficult than it looks at first glance.
First 2 games, sum them up for me.
The first game we tried something a little weird, and we didn't really get the information that we'd lose our keep, and I think that kind of threw us off, and we weren't really confident with the rest of the game, and we also weren't really playing something we were that confident with, so it was just kind of a sloppy game. The second game was Tomb. We were just really confident in our draft that game. We had a little bit of a sloppy throw at the boss as well. We were kind of warming up. If we played a little better, I think it was fine, but all in all, I think it was a relatively solid game.
Yeah, and then the final game, behind for much of that game. What was going on in that game, and what was the key part that turned around? Was it the team fight towards the end, or was there something earlier on?
I think Tracer Abathatasadar is probably the most disgusting thing in the game right now, like without a doubt. We thought about it in the draft, but we were worried about other things they could play, like Illidan, so we wanted to ban out the Illidan instead of Tracer, but that comp is completely disgusting, and I think we just eventually got a few lucky picks. We punished them in the right moments, and we caught them out, and that kind of brought us back, because once we had the Vikings and we had a few kills, we could take everything on the map, so it was just about getting those few picks and snowballing that back into the win.
Looking forward to the final, obviously. It's going to be another final for you guys. You're going to be attempting to go for your 4th regional championship. Everyone said coming into this to me, Dignitas, they're already qualified for the global finals. They're going to be a bit chilled. They'll probably try some funky strats. Maybe they're not practicing very much. Maybe their strats aren't very good right here. You've just proved everyone wrong. You just cruised through to the final.
I mean, the first day we came in, we saw we'd end up against Fnatic, and we're like, we're not sure we could beat Fnatic. And then we did that, so somehow we've ended up in the final in a tournament we weren't confident in, but I think we've played well most of the games, and I think we deserve to win the games that we did, so I think whoever we come up against in the final, it'll be a really good series, and I'm looking forward to either opponent. I think they're both really good.
All right, well, good luck in the final. Thank you very much. And we will head back to our panel now and get their thoughts on our first semi-final of the day.
Thank you very much, Red Eye, and wow, solid victory here for Team Dignitas, proving once again that they are still the force to be reckoned with here in Europe, on their way to actually win their 4th title on the regionals. Very impressive.
Very impressive. I mean, it almost looked like Jabronis had the perfect answer for the Vikings. Really, I mean, Tracer looked amazing.
Yes.
And then the minute she died, it didn't look so great after that.
I mean, also Thrall did a lot of work, and Abathur, those constant copies of Tracer caused a lot of trouble here for Dignitas in the mid-game, especially, James.
Yeah, certainly. I think also one thing to point out about a lot of the team fights that went down was that you constantly saw Jabronis actually winning those team fights out time and time and time and time. But then you can never undervalue the idea of a flank from Vikings with play again, then to go up against a composition that doesn't have that much AoE damage. They cause huge disruption, and that's where you saw Team Dignitas and then taking the fights. I'm surprised they didn't do it a little bit earlier in some of those team fights, down the line of the game, but regardless, taking the win.
I think the Jabronis, they deserve a lot of props for trying this kind of composition against somebody as good as Dignitas, and making it look for a moment like this was going to be a 2-2, or even that second game, to be honest. I thought it was going to be 2-0 for a long time for the Jabronis. So for them to come out like this with the minimal practice that they've had and really deliver, I really hope that they stick together and we see them at the next tournament trying to make more of an impact on the scene.
Yeah, they're definitely looking very promising, the Jabronis, that is. Even against theirs, like in their series against EE, they always had these back and forth games, and they're definitely a team that can rally and come back at any given time, guys. But for now, Dignitas, of course, advancing to the best of 5 in the grand finals. And to show you guys what's going to come next, we're going to take a look at the bracket here for the playoffs in total. As we mentioned, Team Dignitas once again on their way to victory. Now, Misfits and Fnatic, they are in the lower half of the bracket. bracket here, and both teams are well known in the European scene for being dominant, reliable, and very, very efficient.
It could easily be a preview of what the finals could have been had Fnatic won yesterday. Misfits and Fnatic have potential to be 1-2, 2-1, 2-3, whichever order you want to put them in. And this is just absolutely a treat to be able to have these two teams going up in these semifinals.
The Jabronis out of the race for BlizzCon now. It's either going to be Fnatic or Misfits, so it's really nice to finally see this matchup coming into play, and I cannot wait for this one, man.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Coming into this tournament, I would have said, you know, pegged to Fnatic to be the ones to go on and advance to BlizzCon, but after seeing how the first 2 days ensued, I'm in the camp of Misfits again, because since Valencia, they've tightened the bolts, they're looking strong, and yeah, it's going to be good for them.
Yeah, they had a little bit of a downer in the previous regionals, falling victim to Team Liquid, for example. Excuse me, to Fnatic, if I recall correctly, right? Those guys faced each other already.
They lost someone.
They lost. Let's make it clear here. But they did look very dominant and strong. In fact, the best Western team at the Summer Championship. On the flip side, though, Fnatic, the eternal second, if you will, they're definitely looking for that very, very first big title. But guys, do Daddy Kendrick a favor here and join the discussion online on Twitter, #HGC. Let us know who you think is going to advance to the playoffs for the next best of 5 that is going to come very shortly after a short commercial break.